This episode of the OnlyKings podcast is brought to you by OrganicPricedBooks.com. Guys, there's not been a better time to get into collecting comics, and OrganicPricedBooks.com has multiple formats such as the Omnibus, Deluxe hardcover, and trade paperbacks at huge discounts, such as The Amazing Spider-Man Volume 5, originally at $125, marked down to $80. Use my discount code NOAH, N-O-A-H, at checkout for an additional discount on top of what you're already getting, which can range from anywhere between 25 to 42% off. Again, OrganicPricedBooks.com, discount code NOAH, N-O-A-H, for an additional discount. Now back to the show. Poncho!
Hey, how's it going?
My brother, thank you for being here.
My pleasure.
Making the trip all the way from Florida. So for people who haven't really kept up with it too much, today I did my first physique competition, and I was blessed enough to have Poncho coach me through it all for like the past 8 months, 7 months.
I think, bro, if you count that time that you decided to call it quicks, will that make it 11 months?
Yeah, it'd be a while.
Yeah. I remember that we started at some point, and you were like, no, I don't think I can do it at this point. And we were like, okay, whenever you feel ready.
Yeah.
That would make it 11 months.
Yeah, it's been a long fucking time. Joey, if you want to do me a favor, there is a cardboard box down there. If you could get that, please, and hand it to Poncho after cracking open your alcohol. So this is my way of saying thank you for being a badass coach.
No.
So for those of you listening on various outlets, he's a huge anime and South Park fan.
Bro, I fucking love it.
So I figure you like that shirt.
I fucking love it. Thank
badass,
you so much.
right?
Man. I'm gonna be going to the gym with it.
And the motherfucker also likes Oreos.
Fucking who doesn't
I
love
got you some
Oreos,
fucking
man?
Oreos.
Ooh, with the carrot cake.
Got fucking carrot cake Oreo?
Bro, these are great fucking
Have you had the
man.
carrot cake Oreos before?
No, but I love carrot cake.
Okay,
So.
David, could you do me a favor? In the pantry, there's a bunch of Oreos up there, and we've got carrot cake Oreos. And the motherfucker also likes Attack on Titan.
Bro,
Yes.
that's my necklace, bro.
So I figured that was a badass shirt.
Bro. Oh, fuck me, man. This is fucking great.
I'm glad you like it, buddy.
Thank you so much,
Dude,
man.
thank you,
I
man.
really appreciate it. You're a great guy, man.
You're a great guy, man.
You're
Thank you very
fucking
much.
great, man. I'm really proud of you because honestly, I've been here in the gym. I competed my first time in bodybuilding when I was 16, something around that. And most of the people who always say I want to compete, freaking 9 years, 10 years, and they'll never make it through though. You want to share right there?
So you can keep those, dude. We've got a full set of Oreos coming right here.
Oh, bro,
So we don't gotta dig into yours.
fucking nice.
I've never had these before.
Oh my god. Aren't they fucking good, man?
Oh, you're fucking
Oh man, these are one of the greatest.
That's
ones.
That's like actual carrot cake.
Wow. I don't know who had to sell their soul to the devil to get this flavor right.
I'm out. They put the bottom one on backwards.
Huh?
Yeah, sometimes that happens though. It's really weird. Yeah.
Oh, they did.
Show the camera. It's backwards.
Yeah, so we've got no Oreo logo, but there's an Oreo logo on the other side, I promise. Yeah, there's the Oreo logo. Oh, that's fucking fantastic. Holy shit.
Okay, now we all have to try these ones out because these are also freaking amazing.
So what are these?
These are
chocolate peanut
chocolate
butter
peanut
pie.
butter pie.
Also good.
Yeah.
I didn't even know this existed.
These kind of taste like the those Girl Scout cookies, the tagalongs.
Yeah, they do. The peanut butter is it's present, but it's not overwhelming.
Dude, but peanut butter and chocolate in one of them, I'm god damn though. And sometimes they'll have double stuff though, and one is one flavor and the other one is another flavor. Bro, those tend to be like really freaking good.
Have you seen that Family Guy where the people get in a car accident and the guy's like, my peanut butter, my chocolate, and then Officer Reese shows up and kills both of them and takes the recipe? Can you find that, please? That's some of the greatest fucking... I don't know who came up with that. That's just fucking hilarious.
Dude, Family Joke has some amazing jokes. But honestly, I think that like I prefer South Park way better because they actually have like a storyline that they follow.
Well, because South Park, what's so genius about them is... Okay, so here's what I was talking about.
Lois, you ruined everything. You know that?
Peter, I know it's a little extreme, but when it comes to our children, it's better to err on the safe side. Isn't that right?
No. You know, Lois, if everybody was as close-minded as you, the world wouldn't have some of its most inspired creations.
Man, this chocolate bar is delicious.
Oh, yeah, I love peanut butter.
I'm Officer Reese's. What happened here?
You got peanut butter on my chocolate. He got chocolate in my peanut butter.
Yeah, that's just quality comedy. But no, what's so dope about South Park is, so Matt Stone and Trey Parker, they gave a lecture at this college, and they described like the easiest way that they write their stories, or they'd write like an episode, right? 'Cause they hadn't done the like continuous storyline up until like 4 years ago.
Yeah.
So it was like, if you're writing a story, and this is very much what Family Guy's become, where it's like character A does this and then happens and this happens and this.
Yeah.
If you're writing it like that, you're writing your story all wrong. He goes, Cartman does this. And it was Cartman does this. Because of that, this happens. However, this also happens. So it kind of follows like this structure where it just like, it's sensical in the way that it goes. It's very linear. Mm-hmm. But then like with the way South Park does it, it just goes so insane. Like one of my favorite episodes is the Catholic Church one. Where
Which one of them all?
where the priest figures out about all the molestation that's happening, and they actually go to
The spider, the
yeah,
giant spider.
they go to fucking
the Pope.
yeah, they go to Italy or whatever.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
like, we need to consult the head pope, and it's a fucking spider that comes down. Yeah, fantastic. But now like with how they're doing their main storylines and with everything that's going, I mean, what they just did the Putin episode.
Oh, that
At
was
the
freaking
height
great.
of this, did you see that? The return to the Cold War.
Yeah, I
where
did.
like Putin is dancing and yeah, it's see if you can find that. It's called Return to the Cold War, right?
It's a great freaking episode. Yeah, I was watching it yesterday. I couldn't stop laughing.
No, that's scary.
Oh yeah.
Let's find something less scary.
But yeah, it's back to the Cold War, and they're just making fun of Putin the entire time because of what's going on in Ukraine, and it's fucking hilarious, and because like so that's a great example actually because like the underlying narrative is like what's going on is scary and it's horrible and Putin's an asshole, but the like the crazy part of the story is how Mackie is like nostalgic about the 80s.
And he's enjoying it.
Yeah, and he loves the
Yeah.
fact the Cold War is happening, and he goes back to his home, like to his childhood room, and it's all like war games.
But you
and,
see,
like,
that's
80s
something that I like
music.
because the episode relates to like the nostalgia part and like what is actually going on right now. So I'm like, oh, that's pretty ingenious. That like that's a pretty great way. For example, as per se like The Simpsons or like Family Guy, it's just like a bunch of random things that you're like, how did we end up in this? Like they just keep adding like random stuff, but you don't even remember like how they got there. I feel like South Park does follow like a storyline, and they try to make it like consistent with what is going on and the characters and all of that.
Well,
I love that.
Oh, I love it too, and they never fall victim to the PC culture.
Oh no, I
Right?
think they
Like,
will.
I don't remember what fucking episode it was, but it was like the one where they went off on like trans people or something. And at the very end, it was like, cancel South Park.
Oh,
Hashtag
yeah.
Cancel South Park.
Was that
And,
the
like,
strong woman? Thing?
Yeah.
Oh,
PC
bro,
Principal.
that was a rough episode. I was like,
Yeah.
oh,
Well, because
boy.
for that whole season, they would end every episode with hashtag cancel South Park because literally before the season came out, they got interviewed, I think, by like Hollywood Reporter or like Vanity Fair, and they were like, how long are you going to do South Park for? And Trey Stone and Matt Parker were like, we're going to do it until they cancel us. And then that statement went viral. So then everyone's like, oh, they think they're so cool. They think they're so badass. So like, yeah, they ended every episode with hashtag cancel South Park, which I thought was fucking hilarious. But I don't know if you saw this or not, but they signed a new contract with Paramount, and they're gonna do South Park through like episode or season 29. They've got like 12 new movies coming out, 5 video games. Like they're doing a lot of
Honestly,
shit.
that is quite impressive, given like the way that like culture is being like cancel this, cancel
yeah.
that. The fact that South Park can get away with it, it's like, why are you guys doing that? No one else can like be able to.
They make money.
Yeah, but then for example, Dave Chappelle made like a lot of money, and still like people were like trying to cancel him.
But did they succeed?
No, they did.
Yeah, they can't. Like if Dave Chappelle went to Comedy Central and was like, "Hey, I want to do the Chappelle show again," you know how quickly they would sign him. They would throw him hundreds of millions of dollars for a new Chappelle show. And the same thing with Joe Rogan. Like he apologized for what happened, but then he just didn't take the criticism and moved on. And Spotify's not going to pull his shit because he makes so much money.
I'm glad though, because isn't that like one of the core things that the United States has always stand for? Like, oh, like the freedom of expression, everyone gets to say what they're like is on their mind. So I don't know, it feels a little bit weird when we don't let like some artists like express like that. I know that I can hurt a lot of people's feelings. I know that a lot of people are against it. I'm like, hey, they are free to say whatever they want, and you decide how you roll with it.
And so you've lived in 3 different countries,
Yes.
in your lifetime. So looking at from the way that the United States handles stuff like free speech, looking at how Canada does and how Mexico does it, what do you find are like the differences in culture?
In Mexico, it's not so much about like cancel culture or like people going off on you. In Mexico, it's like, who are you gonna piss off and what repercussions that might have. One of the things that I do remember really clearly is like there was this little kid who went viral because he was drinking like a lot of alcohol and people were making fun of him and stuff. And at some point, he said more what he should have said and like was talking about this drug dealer, and he like offend him in a way, and he got killed. And that's one of the examples where it's like, and also like if you talk about the government or stuff like that, there is the chances that something might happen to you or someone closer to you, which is a really scary thought. Like it sounds better to get canceled than getting killed or someone on your family like killed. I also feel that Canada, again, they were really, I always thought that they would be more accepting of, but when the COVID thing hit and everything, and like some people were speaking their minds, they weren't having it. They were canceling. They were saying like that's a lie. We also saw what happened with the convoy and everything. So I think that the United States is the best one. It's just society, the ones that they like. It's all Americans who want to cancel it. It's not so much that the government gets involved and it's like, oh, we're gonna put the plug on this. We're not gonna allow this. It's just like a bunch of other people who are like, we don't like that. Cancel it right now, and having like a voice on it where they actually have to do it.
Well, it sounds like the priorities are so different between the countries. Like in Mexico, it's you piss off a drug dealer, you're gonna get fucking killed, and that's like that's such a huge stereotype of like the Mexican culture. But it's like to hear that, like that's actually what goes down over there, you know. And then you look at Canada, or like Canada, in the span of 18 months, has turned into this like almost totalitarian government, right?
Yeah.
It has gone downhill so fucking fast, where it's like. The people there, they're not speaking out against like transphobia or fat phobia or homophobia or racism. They're speaking out against a government that is stepping out of line, and that's their cancel culture.
Yes.
But here in the States, we get freaked out over racism. Like, is there racism? Yes. Is there transphobia? Yes. Homophobia? Yes. I would never fucking say there's not, but I mean, Jesus Christ, man. Like, get your priorities straight.
But you see, I think that's the thing though. Like, the United States is such a, I don't want to say like free country. Like, yeah, it is a free country, and it has like, they are doing so well that people are focusing on other things. I think that's a pretty cool sign, you know? Like, because, for example, in Mexico, we're focusing on our president being like a murderer, our president, like, stealing millions of dollars. We had a guy who stole the cancer treatment of children so he could get a bigger house. Like, that's a big issue that we had.
Can you find that, please?
Of the guy...
The cancer treatment you just brought up. What's his name? You remember?
Duarte cancer treatment for kids, Veracruz.
So
No, I remember that. And when he got caught, he faked dementia. He was like, "Oh, I'm crazy" and stuff. And he's like, "Oh, you weren't crazy to take all those millions, right?"
So was he the governor or the president?
Yeah, I think he was the governor of Veracruz. Veracruz. Do you know how to spell Veracruz?
What'd you say, De La Cruz?
Veracruz.
Oh, Vera Cruz?
Veracruz.
VERA.
Yeah.
Oh shit.
Yeah,
There
he
you go.
was giving them water instead of giving them like the actual.
Oh
treatment.
fuck me.
So pretty much he was killing children. Like he let them die.
All right, zoom in a little bit so I can read this. Because my eyes fucking suck. All right, so Mexican authorities. When was this published? Let's find that first.
Top 19 January 2017.
Okay, so in 2017, zoom in a little bit. Let's see. Mexican authorities are to investigate allegations. Children battling cancer were given, quote, distilled water instead of chemotherapy. An in-depth investigation will look into claims made by Veracruz Governor Miguel Angel Yunes Linares on Monday. The Ministry of Health said he alleged fake medicine had been brought and used in state hospitals under his predecessor, Javier Duarte. So Duarte was the one fucking up.
Yeah.
Mr. Duarte has been on the run from the authorities since October. Can you find... Okay, we're going to keep talking. Can you find a follow-up about this? See what ended up happening to him?
Yeah.
Holy shit.
I'm pretty sure he faked dementia or something like that. And like his family was living in a real... Were they living in England? Something like that? They were living like the good life though. But you see, that's what I'm saying. Like in the States, like people will complain about Trump's tax returns. I'm like, still paying taxes. This guy is killing children in like with the intention of making more money.
So this motherfucker got 9 years, and we're looking at the webpage right now, and he's smiling. That's him,
yeah.
right?
No, yeah. He was
And the
smiling.
motherfucker's...
No.
Because he probably went to a super chill prison, right?
Bro, with that money that he has.
Like, quote-unquote prison.
Yeah. No, with the money that they usually... Here's the thing. In Mexico, you're not fucked unless you get sent to, like, the United States. Like, for example, El Chapo. Yeah.
Or if you get extradited.
Yeah. Like, if you stay in Mexico, you probably won't have that many issues because you probably have, like, a bunch of money and you can pay off the authorities and do a lot of things. And you usually come out clean. Like again, 9 years for killing children?
So I was going to say, like, so where did you grow up in Mexico?
It's called Aguascalientes,
Okay.
Mexico. It's a really small town in the middle of Mexico.
In the middle of Mexico. Okay.
Yeah.
So, in your opinion and your experience being there, how accurate is the stereotype of the...
Bless you, bless you.
Fuck.
Bless you, brother.
When we get rich, I'm going to get a fucking sneeze/cough button that mutes the mics.
You could just say, hey, mute the mics. I got 3 fingers, dog. Mute.
So like I was saying, in your experience of living there and growing up there and you visit frequently, like, the stereotype of how corrupt Mexico's government is, how true is that stereotype?
It's really
And, like, everything from, like, the government to the law enforcement, how accurate is that?
It's incredibly accurate. It's okay. Like a lot of people think that it's like, oh, I'm gonna go outside, I'm gonna get killed right away. It's not like that. Usually, if you're not looking for trouble, you won't find trouble. But the part that like where our government steals all of the money, that's totally true though. Like if you saw if you go to public education in Mexico, it's gonna be a rough time. It's gonna be really hard for you to move up the ladder. You won't have computers. You're not gonna have labs. They are not gonna teach you English. Like it's really rough for those people who are in the public communities that like need a public education. It got to a point where we decide like who's gonna steal the less. Like we're not on a point where we're like that's the best candidate. It's more like I think he's gonna steal less. He might kill less though, and like we're in that point. That's how like bad the government is though. I still remember one time when I was like 12 years old or something like that. I was gonna go out with my friends to the movies. And we start like hearing fireworks, and we're like, oh, okay, like some people are using fireworks, whatever. And then my neighbor comes and like, hey, get inside your houses. Those are like shotguns, and we're like, oh, then because I used to live like in a nice neighborhood. It was a close neighborhood and stuff. And we got there, and my friends and I were like, okay, whatever. Like, we start watching a movie, something like that. But my mom was really preoccupied, and she was going like upstairs and downstairs and upstairs and downstairs. She was like freaking out. And then I hear someone knocking on, like pounding on the door. And I was like, no, don't open the door, don't open the door. It's like, okay, like, well, I wonder who is outside right now. And then eventually it came out that like they found like one of those houses where they keep people that they kidnap and like the drugs and everything. It was in my neighborhood. So like the police came and they were like, hey, like you guys come out. And the guys were like, fuck no. And they just start shooting. And one of them escaped and went to my house trying to like open up and like get inside. And my mom called the police and they caught the guy on my like in my garage kind of thing though. And that's what I understood, like, oh fuck, like we were in danger, like
Right.
yeah. And this was me when I was like 12 or something like that. But one of the reasons why that happened is because we had a president who it is said that he declared the war in El Narco kind of thing, where he was like, okay, I'm gonna end this, and that's why it got really rough. And apparently he was doing pretty good for the 6 years that he was president. But as soon as the other president came in, he was like, yeah, I'm not doing anything. I'm not doing something like this. And the other president is not doing anything like that. So Mexico, man, I don't know. I don't think they're going to do that great.
So it sounds like, how do I put this? Like, it sounds like when you compare the Mexican government to the American government, they're both corrupt. But the Mexican government, it sounds like there's a lot more violence attached. And then with the American government, it's more like financial, like life, like how do I put that? Like not lifestyle, but like everyday life things get attacked here in America or get hurt by the decision of the government. Whereas in Mexico, the corruption of the government leads to like legitimate violence and death.
Yeah.
Is that accurate?
Yeah, I think that if you were to say it like that, yeah, honestly, like, because here's the thing, you don't see Trump making deals with gangs or stuff like that, though. And we do have those kind of issues where we say, like, oh, yeah, like, when this president came to play, like, or we even had, like, generals that were, like, 4-star generals, like, in charge of all the security of the country, being, like, arrested because they were having deals with, like, drug dealers. And that's like, wow, that's like 4-star general. Like, that's the highest authority in the Mexican government is making these deals with those people. So that's like quite eye-opener. Then again, in the American government, I don't think that happens, man. I feel, again, I think that there is levels to this game, if you want to say it like that. Where you have like a guy like the guy in Venezuela, where he's stealing all the money, people are starving to death, and he's just like, yeah, this is okay, who cares? And then you have Mexico, where it's like the corruption. And eventually you have the United States, where it's not perfect, but honestly, the government is not that bad here. Like,
no, I would agree. I think you put it perfectly. There are levels to this game. It's a really fucked up game, but there are levels to it. And I think so. You have the government in Mexico making these deals with cartels and gangs. I think the equivalent to that in America is like our politicians making deals with the pharmaceutical. Like we were talking about this last night.
Yeah.
With the pharmaceutical companies, with the military-industrial complex companies like Raytheon. Like, granted, I think they're two sides of the same coin, but they're both equally ugly because who's losing in the end? The common person. Like the people who elected these individuals, they're the ones losing in the end.
yes.
And I think there's a real problem with how normal American citizens put these fucking politicians on a huge pedestal, and they're like, "Oh, this is gonna be the guy that helps us out." Like, if for the, I think you put it perfectly. I think it was like 2 nights we were talking about this. How bananas it is for anyone to think that Trump was gonna be helping the working man.
Boy.
Like, get the fuck out of here. That makes no sense.
Well, but if you look at it, most politicians are like the same coin, man. Like just rich people who have great education and that honestly don't have enough power. Like we make it look like the president is like this like major figure and whatever they say is law. It's not honestly true though. Like you still have the Senate, you have like other politicians who tend to be like just really rich people who don't honestly care though. Why would you want higher taxes when you are in the higher end of taxes?
Yeah.
Like honestly.
Well, that was like one of the things that actually gave me a little bit of hope about Trump was because when they were doing the primaries, like the debates and stuff, and the politicians came out, see if you can find it, where it was, let's do fucking 2016 Republican primaries, Trump taxes. And what he says in one of the debates is someone called him out about the fact that he doesn't pay a whole lot of taxes, if any, right? As a businessman, right? He wasn't a politician yet.
Yeah.
This is a businessman. And when he goes, yeah, I don't pay taxes because of the tax system that you guys set up. If I'm going to look at your tax system and there's abilities for me to take advantage of it and not lose a lot of money, of course I'm going to. That's your guys' fault for setting it up. And him saying something like, and then he said he was going to fix it. Obviously, he can't. People say he did. People say he didn't. I'm obviously not educated enough to be able to say whether or not he did. I'm not a finance guy. But hearing someone say that on a public stage, that did kind of win me over. I voted for Trump in the 2016 election. Like, that kind of won me over. It's like, yeah, like, here's a dude that's been abusing the fuck. At least he's honest about it, right? Because, like, when you have dudes or people like Nancy Pelosi, Bernie Sanders, Joe, especially
my favorite trader, man.
like Joe Biden, like when you have all these people that come out and lie to you, right? This flat out fucking lie to you, and then you have someone like Trump, who you know what you're getting with Trump. He's the guy that says you're fired on TV. You know who the fuck you're getting. So for him to come out and be like, yeah, of course I abuse the system. Like, I like money. That's kind of refreshing. To see someone tell the truth, whether or not it's ugly, it's kind of fucking refreshing.
But you see, like, I guess that the part that like bores me a little bit is that if you look at even the system in the United States, of course, it's not as bad as Mexico or something like that. Like, honestly, like, if you ask any Mexican, would you prefer to live in Mexico or the United States? I'm pretty sure 99% of them will say absolutely to the United States. It is a great country. It has great opportunities, blah, 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 blah. But when you look at it, for example, one of the things that like made me really mad is the entire thing with the GameStop thingy. Did you remember that?
Oh, yeah, when Wall Street Bets on Reddit fucking took down, yeah.
Yeah. One of the issues that everyone was complaining is that Robinhood, the trading platform, which usually is for the right person,
I know
they were like, you are not allowed to sell anymore.
Yeah, that was super fucked up.
Yeah.
I agree.
So it showed that the system was crooked. It showed that like you cannot, if you're the little man and you're making money out of the big guys, they don't allow that. If you lose all your money, they don't give a fuck. If you lose all your money against a hedge fund or something like that, they're like, yeah, that's the idea of the stock market.
I 100%
But if you
agree.
win, that's when they're like, oh, wait, what? The working class is winning? We cannot allow this to happen.
So for people listening or watching that doesn't know what the fuck we're talking about, so last year, a bunch of people on Reddit...
Wall Street Bets?
Yeah, Wall Street Bets, a bunch of people on Reddit, a lot of admins, what they saw was that a bunch of inside trading was going down because GameStop was going under. And they were losing business. They're about to completely go out of business. So what was happening was a bunch of Wall Street dudes decided to short the stocks. Yes. And basically what they're saying is, like, please feel free to correct me. From what my understanding of shorting a stock is you buy all these stocks and you like loan it out or some shit, but it's like you're going to recoup those losses because you end up selling those stocks at a higher price or some shit like that, right? Or it goes out of business, you get your money back.
Yeah.
But it's at a set price. It's like say it's at $100 a fucking share. Yeah. It wasn't. It was at like 40. But let's say it's okay. So let's say it's like at $40. But a bunch of people on Wall Street Bets saw that and were like, "Hey, you can't do that. That's fucking illegal. Fuck you guys. We're gonna get back at you." So what do? They rallied together, and a fuck ton of these people decided just to buy a shit ton of GameStop stock. And the stock, yeah, it was like $40-$60, but it peaked at like $530. Can you find the peak of the GameStop stock? Because it got to like $530.
But you see, the fun thing about that is that because it's optioned, it works with contracts. So you are like, oh, I have let's say 10 contracts, and each contract is like 100 like stocks though. Yep. So these people were losing like massive money. Hedge fund managers.
Yeah. So these managers, these hedge funds who were looking to get the money back, they were losing hundreds of millions of dollars because this stock skyrocketed like 5,000%.
Yeah.
So that not only did it save GameStop, it showed the fucking hedge fund dudes
that we had power. That the small people. When the
small people band together, they have power. And there was a pocket of time. There's like a 5-day window where it was like, you know what? This is beautiful. This is great. We're going to be okay. But then, exactly what you just brought up, Robinhood decided to say, guess what? You can't short the fucking...
I think that they didn't allow you to buy it anymore.
You can't... So I used the wrong terminology. You can't buy it. You can't sell it. You can't do anything. They cut off GameStop stock from Robinhood's Robinhood's webpage. And Robinhood is basically a fucking trading app that an app you use for stocks and stuff. But the problem was the government saw that happen and did nothing about it.
But you see, here, one of the biggest issues of Robinhood was supposed to be the platform for the regular guy. Bro, I fucking told you. Robinhood is supposed to be the platform for the regular guy. Robinhood always advertised themselves like, oh, this is not for hedge fund managers. This is not for rich people. This is without commissions. You do it yourself. We're all about the people. But when it came down to it, we could see their true colors. We could see like, no, actually, this is not for like the people. This is for the hedge fund managers to make money. And like a lot of people complained, they're like, oh, it's not fair because it was a little bit weird because a bunch of people got together and decided to buy the stock, even though it was like, well, you are just betting against these guys, so the hedge fund managers, and they were like, oh, that's unfair. You think that those guys don't do inside trading? You think that the guys... Do you have any idea how much money fucking Goldman Sachs made in 2008 when everyone was losing their jobs?
Shit ton.
Oh, bro, no, there were people who became billionaires with that.
Yeah.
And like, no one cares. But when it's the little people, when it's like working class making this amount of money, that's when everyone loses their head. That's like, that's illegal. How dare you? We're gonna change this. I'm like, hey, like, that's messed up.
Well,
though.
when you start looking into like the deep insider trading and then how it aligns with like big events in like, let's say, the last 30 years of the American history, right? I mean, you can look back at 9/11. Look up real quick, just because it's okay. So, what was the highest that GameStop was at last year?
So in a matter of a month, it went from $17.69 to a high of $3.25.
Oh, that sounds right. I was a little off, but that's right.
$3.44, but
Yeah, that sounds about right. $17, dog.
from $17.
Yeah, so you can imagine how much money those guys were gonna lose and how much like they Wall Street bet.
Well, how much they lost?
Yeah, no,
They did lose money.
but they could have lost more. Like that's the thing. Like those people from like Wall Street bets, they could have become like this beautiful story of how the little guy beats the big guy in Wall Street. And Robinhood is like, yeah, well, no, man.
Yeah, because the investors of Robinhood was like, hey, man, we're losing a lot of money. So do me a favor. Look up the number one sold stock on September 10th, 2001.
It's really quiet. You guys should talk.
Did you watch the... well, you probably didn't hear about this, but there's this investor, Ben Ackerman, though. He actually... I think he shorted like most of the stocks right before COVID, but he had an interview with like the news and he was like, we gotta close everything, blah, blah, blah. Like, COVID is terrible. Well, yeah, no shit, because he was gonna make money with it. Like,
So that was the second thing I was going to go to, funny thing enough. So, but first, I remember reading... Okay, Snopes is bullshit.
Yeah, I was gonna say Snopes is.
Snopes is fucking bullshit. But basically, Delta and American Airlines were the two most sold stock the day before 9/11.
Oy.
Yeah. So look, I'm of the mind, and I've said this multiple times, and I'll say this in like in-person conversation too, no matter where I'm at. I don't think 9/11 was an inside job. I don't think the American government planned 9/11. Or
okay,
like,
because my mom thinks that. I'm like, oh,
But there is evidence, and we can go definitely, when we get done with the finance talk, we can definitely go down that rabbit hole, but there is evidence that we knew that the Saudis were planning it with Osama bin Laden. That they were planning it, and we did nothing about it because we needed some sort of event to get us into the Middle East to get oil and look for weapons of mass destruction. There is evidence that we knew about it, but we did nothing to stop it because we could see the gain from it. And this is something the Americans have a history of doing. The biggest example during kind of go off on a tangent here, during Kennedy's administration was Operation Northwoods, right? Was Northwoods the false flag, right?
I think so.
Yeah. So we can fact check that later. But basically, what it was is it was during the like the Cuban Missile Crisis type deal, right?
Yeah.
And what the like legitimate like generals of our military, like people from the DoD and the Pentagon, they drafted up this proposal and they drafted up this false flag event where what they were going to do is they were going to bomb multiple U.S. It was a couple of naval destroyers and Joey, what are the ships called that carry the fucking planes on them?
Carriers.
Are they just called carriers?
Yeah. they're
Okay.
just aircraft carriers.
So the aircraft carrier plane or aircraft carrier ships, they were gonna bomb a couple of those off the coast of New York, and then they were going to, there were a couple of army installations that they were gonna blow up, and they were gonna blame it on the Cubans, and use that as a reason to go into Cuba, occupy Cuba, and take over any nukes that they had.
Operation Northwoods.
It was Northwoods, but what president was it under? Was it under Kennedy?
JFK.
Yeah. Okay. I'm correct. Thank God. So yeah, they brought this forward to Kennedy. Kennedy saw that and was like, "No, we're not gonna kill U.S. servicemen and women so that we can occupy Cuba."
I mean, that's pretty cool that he like actually stood up for it.
Right. But
But
by doing that, he also signed his own death warrant. Like, there's also evidence that the CIA killed Kennedy. So, oh yeah, dude. So
I honestly have no idea
yeah,
what they
yeah.
that
So my point, yeah.
Sorry, so you were kind of right. So this is from truthout.org. It's like an organization website. So this is an academic paper. So it kind of goes into not the day before 9/11, but the month before, on like September 2001, like between 7th September to 10th September, like there was 4 times the normal volumes on the British Airways stock spot. There was on September 10th, 285 times normal volumes of American Airlines were bought. And so, assuming 4,000 of those options were purchased by terrorist investors, insiders, they would have netted a gain of about $4 million.
There you go.
Just in one day.
There you go. So insider trading is a thing, right?
Oh, absolutely.
And
Nancy
so,
Pelosi.
but that's like Nancy Pelosi for sure. But that's like the ugliest side of it. And then you look at the housing market crash. And honestly, just because like I'm uneducated as fuck, and I get most of my
housing market crash 2022.
I want to buy a house. But the greatest, I think, like the best way for the common man, someone like me, to like figure out how the stock market actually crashed in 2008, how the housing market, how the housing market crashed in 2008, and what ended up happening. There's a great movie. I don't know if you've seen it or not. It's called The Big Short.
Bro, what a great freaking movie!
Great
I've watched
movie.
it like 5 times.
Yeah,
I love that
great
movie.
movie.
Yeah.
And how it shows multiple perspectives of that housing market crash, and it's fucked up.
Yeah,
How they were buying, selling, and trading. And it's funny because I was actually just about to use a how do I say this without like incriminating myself? So I was about to use a certain kind of loan to buy a house. And because of how trusted that loan is on the stock market, because of who gets to use that loan, that loan gets bought and sold left and right on the stock market. But when they do something like with The Big Short, they're shorting all those mortgages and combining them together into the
bonds.
they're like bonds.
They had the AAA bonds and like
Yeah.
C and all that kind of stuff.
They start
Great.
going all that,
Yeah.
but then they'll lose. The people betting against that win all the fucking money.
Yeah.
But then people like us who might have bought a house during that time, we get fucked.
No, and the funny part is like the banks, the government was like, "Oh, I'll help you."
Well, they were all insured. They were insured in the back end.
Yeah.
And they were insured and they got fucking bailed out.
Yeah. No, the banks were fine, man. It was just like the regular person who ended up losing. Like, always, honestly. So yeah, that's incredibly sad. And like, for me, I study like finance and I do like the stock market. I love economics and all of that.
Try to keep the mic a little closer to your face.
Yeah.
You're good.
I study economics and I really like it. It's just like a little bit depressing, honestly, because you just realize like, oh,
the more
wow.
you learn, the sadder it gets.
Yeah, you realize like, oh yeah, so like companies pay for like the governments to do this and that and like the stock market doesn't work. Like you can't beat the market. I'm like, what am I doing, man? Like how do I?
was gonna ask. Did you ever hit a point where you're like just reading a book and you're like, there's just no winning?
Yeah, no, pretty
There's
much.
just no winning.
You realize how like the government works. You realize like social laws, how they work and everything. And you're like, oh, shit, man, the rat race never ends, eh? Like,
So what's your opinion? 'Cause I definitely want to get back. Which one, carrot cake or peanut butter?
Carrot cake, dog.
All right, so
I like you, man.
So we'll get back to the corruption part for sure, but so what is your opinion on the way cryptocurrency is going and like the idea of a decentralized money system?
I really like it, but unfortunately, it's a little bit of a complicated topic because I also believe that you need a government which helps with your currency kind of thing, though.
Yeah.
Because here's the thing: if the United States says like, because one of the major institutions that helps to the United States with like with the money and like the economics is the government. The government pays for a lot of stuff, the taxes, the military, all that kind of stuff. So if the regular person all change to Bitcoin, which is really volatile, it can mess up the economy of certain countries. And it might make some go up, might go some go down. And it doesn't help that no one knows who Satoshi is, the guy who created Bitcoin. Some people have actually said that it might be the Chinese government. And if
Can you research that, please?
and if
Separate tab. I definitely want to go back to the conspiracy stuff because I'm weird, but definitely look into the foundation of Bitcoin.
So like if this guy who created Bitcoin, if it turns out it was China and like a lot of people have their money invested, they can collapse the economy of a country, especially the United States, which is one of the biggest like investors in Bitcoin. And a lot of people have the money in there.
So if that turns out to be true, yes, that is a very scary fact. But what I would say as well is you kind of hit the nail on the head with the whole taxes thing. Like, you need a government to control everything, first of all.
Yes.
Like, you need a group of people to control things. Like, I'm not a huge fan of the government, but you need a huge government, but you need a small government that controls the big things. A. B, if you do have, like, fuck, man, even if, like, 25% of the populace all went to Bitcoin and didn't have any income to pay taxes on, we're done. That's a quarter of the profit that this country needs gone. Because taxes, like, yeah, taxes suck, but
they're important.
But they're
man.
important, and you need them. It's literally the price you pay for living anywhere. Like, you need it. That's how you get roads. In theory, that's how you get roads, schooling, et cetera, et cetera.
The military.
Yeah, in the military, we know how fucking corrupt the government is, and how like our taxes don't really go to that anymore. But it's just how it is. But so we just compared the United States to Mexico. So looking at the United States and the problems that we're facing now, whether it's cancel culture, whether it's the corruption of the government, and looking at what Canada's going through right now, because you spent 2 years in Canada, 3 years?
No. Canada, I spent like 7 months.
7 months? Oh, I thought it was a lot longer than that.
Oh, trust me, it felt like they made me do the quarantine there. It felt like a year.
Oh, please. Because when we went on our little road trip 2 days ago, you told me and my girlfriend about it, but please reiterate the story of you fucking being in quarantine. Because this shit is fucking retarded.
Oh, bro, it was beautiful. So I spent like some time in the US. I was with my fiance. And I was like, hey, I'm going to Canada. They seem to have like really strict regulations when it comes to COVID. They were not letting flights from Mexico get to Canada. So I had to stay in the United States for a while. So I could say like, hey, I come from the United States, not Mexico. And I got both my vaccines, both shots, whatever. And they were like, we don't care. We still want you to do quarantine. You're going to have to do 3 days in a hotel, approved by the government. And then you can do 11 days on an Airbnb. Or like whatever you could, like if I were to stay in a house, everyone in that house had to do quarantine, so I wouldn't want to stay with anyone. So I go to the government page, I put my hotel thing, I put my Airbnb thing. I traveled. They make me take the COVID test like 3 times. The amount of times that I had to take the COVID test, it was just ridiculous. And when I finally get to the hotel, the lady's like, "Hey, we have a little bit of an issue." I'm like, "Oh, like what is it?" Well, apparently you pay the regular rate, but you need to pay the COVID rate. I'm like, oh, that's really weird.
Oh yeah. Listen to this. This is fucking bullshit.
And I was like, oh, that's really weird though, because I did from the airplane's like side, it take me to the hotel, so I thought I did. I'm like, okay, whatever. Like, so how much is it? And he's like, well, you paid $330. This is gonna be $1,100.
Excuse me, for what rate?
3 nights for the COVID rate in a hotel.
For COVID rate?
Yeah, that's their COVID rate.
In a government mandated quarantine.
Like, I was obligated to do that. So they are like, yeah, I'm losing my shit. It's 11:30 p.m. I don't have where to stay. I'm not allowed to, like, leave anywhere because that will break the quarantine kind of thing. I'm calling my dad. I'm calling my brother. I'm like, what do? I don't have the money for pay for this. My dad gets incredibly angry. He's like, fuck it. Yeah, just pay it. Whatever. I get incredibly angry. I go back to my room. The first morning, they give me my boiled egg, a granola bar, and half an orange as my breakfast. Because one of the things the lady is like, oh yeah, because you got the COVID rate, we give you food here. I was like, well, what food are you giving me? That's worth $800 in 3 days.
So for those of you, again, listening to the podcast and not watching, I'm sitting in front of a pro bodybuilder. And I'm gonna throw this out there. I think a boiled egg, a granola bar, and half an orange does not fit the macros for the morning.
Bro, but like half the orange, man. Not even the full orange. It's like, no, bro, come on. No. Who you think you are? You're getting half. I was just looking at this like, bro, I was starved to death here. Because like, you're quarantined and you're in a hotel room. Like, a hotel room is not meant for you to spend much time there.
Right.
So like, the only thing that I could do was eating. And like, I was like, this has to be a joke though. Like, this has to be a joke. Well, anyway, I had to go through that. I ended up ordering a pizza. The guy who worked there, like the janitor, was super nice to me. He was Mexican too, so like we got along pretty good.
Of course, the fucking janitor was a Mexican. Even in Canada.
I thought exactly the same. Like, well, you know something? He was a great guy. He brings me my pizza. I ordered an entire pizza for myself. I was like, I can't believe I'm paying this amount of money.
And then so you were there for like 3 nights, and then you moved into the Airbnb. And when you went there, you had to download a fucking app.
Oh, yeah. As soon as I got... In order to get to Canada, like when you were going to get your ticket, you had to download an app where you will say, I'm staying in this hotel, I'm staying in this Airbnb, and like, what's your phone number, what's all of your information. And through that app, they say, like, they will track where you were. So they will be tracking your phone. And yeah, man, you had to let them know, like, I'm moving from the hotel to the Airbnb right now. And they said, like, we're allowed to go to your Airbnb and check on you whenever the fuck we feel like. And yeah, that was for the worst 2 weeks of my life, man. Like, damn, it was awful not going to the gym or having anything to do.
And so, and other than just how like fucked up that story is, the reason why I really wanted you to tell that, because like there are people that I know that, now granted, I'm thankful for everyone that listens to this, right? I'm very thankful for anyone that decides to listen and take time to listen to my podcast. But like, there are people that I know that have listened to my podcast, and they have told me that they don't believe that the American government doesn't spy on you. That the American government doesn't listen in on your phone, or read your text messages or your emails or whatever it is. And the story that I always bring up is the Edward Snowden incident, where he brought up. You know what happened with Snowden?
No.
So Edward Snowden was he was like a programmer, or he worked in the intelligence stuff for the CIA. Can you look at what department he looked for? Because I can't remember if it was the CIA or the NSA. But the long story short is that during the Obama administration, he had leaked files out to a couple of journalists that had shown that the NSA. Okay, so he worked for the NSA, and the files that he had leaked showed that the government was using cell phone companies like Verizon to listen in on your phone conversations and listen on your phone conversation, read your emails, read your fucking text messages, all part of the Patriot Act, which came out of 9/11. And the reason they were doing it was because they wanted to catch terrorists. They wanted to find these key phrases, investigate people, and catch terrorists. And what's scary about it is they wanted to catch terrorists preemptively.
Yeah.
Not people that had committed crimes or had legitimately planned them, but if you had fit a certain criteria.
Like being Muslim.
Yeah, literally.
Yeah, no, probably
seriously.
that's the biggest thing.
Like,
it's like, oh, I'm Muslim. I'm like, oh.
Where if you fit a criteria whereas you could possibly commit a terrorist act, they were going to detain you and possibly put you in prison. And they were going to use the Patriot Act as a reason to do it. And this was a huge product of it. And so the reason why I bring this up is because when you look at something like what Canada is doing when the way they're handling COVID, 2.5 years ago in 2019, Justin Trudeau was like the poster child for a great prime minister. Everyone loved Justin Trudeau.
Bro, they hate him so much.
But now when you see what happens, how much power can corrupt people, and what they're doing is like they're tracking where you are. They're trying to make sure that you're in quarantine. Yes. Is it overblown when you see far-right media outlets saying that Canada is using concentration camps for fucking COVID people? Yeah, that's a bit fucking much to call.
I don't remember seeing anything like that.
Yeah, there were.
But I do know that, like, when I was there, I had my vaccination thingy. But because I did it in the United States, I never uploaded. But a lot of people had like a QR code, right? So you would show like, hey, this is my vaccination.
Well, because people were saying that they were having like these COVID concentration camps, when in reality they were the Airbnbs you were staying at.
Yeah.
So that's a bit of a stretch.
Yeah.
To compare anyone to the Third Reich, bit of a stretch. But what's scary is when you see a government that was once hailed as like, maybe this is the way to do things. Maybe Canada. How many times did you hear when Trump was about to get elected? If Trump becomes president, I'm going to Canada. You know,
Bro, after you see those taxes, I don't think.
But when you see a government like that, and you see the leader turn heel so hard, and they're doing shit like this, like it can happen here. People need to fucking realize that. Like this is the path that power can take if it's not reeled in properly.
Yeah,
it's the power. It's the path that it can take. So it's important that people fucking hear that, because that shit's scary. Like, regardless of people in this, let's say in a specific room, who's vaccinated and who's fucking not, right? Let's say there's fucking 4 of us here. Say 2 of us weren't vaccinated. If the fucking cops come to the door and say, "Hey, who's not vaccinated in here?" Your right as a human, not as an American, not as a New Mexican, as a fucking human, should be, go fuck yourself, get off my property. That should be your answer. But unfortunately, there are a lot of places in this world where that's not a right you have as a citizen. And America is one of the last places where we're still able to do that. And if we give up all the power to the government, Canada didn't give it up. Canada's government took it.
No, they fought for they fought for it. Though.
If they allowed
but here's the thing, like the government stepped on their foot though. For example, I had some friends who were like, they got fired because they didn't want to get the vaccine though.
Right.
I was like, that's messed up though. The power of like freezing the accounts if you help the boycott. I was like, that's messed up though. And one of the other things that I wanted to say though, like the vaccine passport that they had, which was a QR code. Like one of my friends told me, it turns out that they were using to spy on you too, though.
Oh, I'm surprised.
Know because every time that you went to a restaurant, they will ask you like, "Where is your QR?" So they used the app to track on your phone.
Yeah.
Where were you going? And now they had like they knew which restaurants or which places you were visiting.
Well, and look, and like just to play devil's advocate, because like on a practical side of things, let's say you look at the first 4 months of the pandemic, right? So that's March into March, April, May, June, right? You look at even into July. You look at that first section of 2020. We don't really know what's going on. We know that COVID's highly infectious, putting people in hospitals. We're seeing the insanity that is New York and California, and we see how bad Italy's getting it, how Spain is getting it, and we're like, oh fuck, what do you do? Look, to play devil's advocate, it makes sense on a practical standpoint to say, yeah, once we get like our top priorities in check, maybe we should figure out, okay, if person A got infected with COVID, let's see where they've been so that we can contain outbreaks, prevent outbreaks.
Yeah, that would make sense.
If the government was filled with good people, I would be okay with that. But because of how corrupt the governments are, it's like, no, you're going to use that for nefarious acts. And maybe we don't. And even if the government was filled with God's angels themselves, the American people still should be able to say, go fuck yourself. Like, we don't want to do that.
Yeah, no,
like,
I definitely agree with you.
Right.
I don't know what to tell you, man. I think that, like, the government is a scary entity just because we know how much power it has. And at the end of the day, there are people, though. If you're telling me that they don't like get drunk power and all that kind of stuff, then they wouldn't be humans, man. Like, yeah, of course they get to hurt.
So did you find where like Bitcoin came from, just so we could wrap that loose end up?
Yeah,
Satoshi.
everybody. It's highly debated about who it is. Some people think it's a team of people. Some people think it's one person.
That's scary.
It makes more sense.
You see, that's why I said that, like,
it makes more sense if it's a team of people. But if the guy did it by himself, the supposed Dorian Satoshi Nakamoto, he would be like probably a genius to code all this by himself.
Oh no, he's probably a billionaire by now, because I remember that he had some like amount of Bitcoin.
Yeah, a genius and a billionaire, because he would have to code all of Bitcoin itself, and then he developed blockchain too.
Oh,
and blockchain
facts.
is what like fucking every other.
Well, that's what
coin
every
uses.
like crypto is built on. It's the idea of a blockchain, and that's why we have
he
NFT.
developed the first blockchain.
That's why we have NFTs now.
Yeah, so like
What the
from here down possible identities, you have all this. Like it's just other candidates. It's no one knows. Supposedly, Nakamoto claimed to be a 37-year-old male who lived in Japan, but
Okay.
that could just be disinformation from a different.
I was about to say that could be a way of, like, maybe the guy is like a Venezuelan guy. It's like, oh yeah, that's why I used a really like Japanese kind of name, man.
Well, what's scary about like because you brought up China first. What's scary about the Chinese connection is with TikTok, right?
Oh, wait.
Like, do you know like all the back engineering with TikTok? Okay, yeah. So, but have you heard about how bad how bad the difference is between our algorithm and China's?
No.
So there's a strong argument that this is all a fucking psychological operation on part of China and their government. Because if you look at China's TikTok, well, first of all, the way they regulate their electronics for children anyway, right? So they're not allowed to use it. Can you find the regulations so I can get these numbers right? But like on the weekends, I believe they only get it like 5 hours a weekend, and that's using like social media apps on their phones, playing video games, shit like that, right?
Okay.
But then on the fucking weekdays, the internet for children gets shut off at like 10 p.m.
Okay.
And the reason for that, obviously, is because the government wants to like reinforce the fact that like kids need to be getting sleep, kids need to be learning, kids should not be on the fucking internet playing video games all fucking night.
Yeah.
God, I'm so gassy. And
It's because of the prep, though.
oh, dude, I know.
And
So China bans kids from playing online video games during the week. Yeah, and it's fucking League of Legends. That's hilarious. So that's what they're doing. And then if you look at their TikTok algorithms, all of the algorithms, this is for adults and children, right? It's geared towards like math and science and achievements and like inventions and like all this, like you're learning when you're on TikTok, right?
Yeah.
Here in America.
Dude, honestly, like, I try to do the same thing with my Instagram because I realized, like, how much time I spent on it.
Yeah.
I think that it was, like, a 4 hour, like, 4 hours on Instagram. I was like, well, because when I was, like, in Canada and stuff, I didn't have, like, much to do, though. I realized, like, wow, shit, like, I'm spending all of this time. And, like, honestly, I'm, like, watching, like, a bunch of BS. Like, it doesn't, like, contribute anything to me. So that's when I decided to change and actually start following, like, fight tips, nutrition kind of tips, things that I was like, I still enjoy watching this, but something good can come out of it.
Yeah.
Because I don't know, sometimes I try to follow like some fighters and stuff, but if they don't post things about like their diets, their training and all that kind of stuff, I'm like, I honestly don't care much about your private life, man. I don't like, no, yeah, like honestly, like if Floyd Mayweather is out there in Vegas throwing money, I'm like, okay, like good for fucking him, man. Like I don't care. But like the amount of people to actually care, that's like the part down. Like, for example, I don't get like why people like freaking Logan Paul and Jake Paul so much. I'm like, what's so appealing about that? I don't get it.
So what? I can only speak from my own personal point
yeah,
of
no,
view,
I
right?
really imagine.
Right, but like for me, what draws me to them whenever I do get interest is just because how stupid it all is. Right? Now, I'm sure there's people out there who legitimately like them and like their personalities and like their whatever. But for me, I just look at
That's a rough one, though.
Yeah, yeah.
If you like the polls, like because of the personality, I'm like,
I just think it's so stupid some of the shit they get themselves into, and like, say what you want, but I mean, it's not like everybody's getting to fight Floyd Mayweather. There is something to be said for that. Like the amount of fame that they have amassed.
I'm not saying that they are
crazy.
I'm not saying that they are like dumb or anything like that. Like honestly, props to them though. Like they are doing fucking great. Their lives are. I bet that they have millions of dollars.
Without
like
a doubt.
good for fucking you though. It's not like you cure cancer. It's not like you're doing anything of that hard work. You're an engineer or something like that, and still you're making like a lot of money. Like you find your niche and you like go on it. More of like I'm scared of like why people enjoy that so much, you know?
I will say this. I'm not a huge fan, like speaking of like Logan Paul.
Yeah.
I'm not a huge fan of his podcast. I just haven't found an episode that really like latched me into it. But he did a really good episode with Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Oh yeah, I saw a little part of it of how Arnold says that like he keeps
like,
working out.
And like they actually filmed it at Gold's Gym. They set up the whole studio there, and like, you've been to Gold's in Venice? Have you been there yet?
I haven't though. I would freaking love to. I know how it looks because of the videos.
So, so you know like that back area where it has like the turf and all that.
Yeah.
So that's what they set up, like the podcast studio. They set up all the mics, and they had a decent episode with him. I'm not gonna lie. Now, granted, it's because of it's fucking Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Yeah.
And I don't agree with everything he says politically, especially the whole like "fuck your freedoms" thing. That kind of pissed me off. But
Dude, it pissed me off. It pissed me off too, though. But at the same point, I was like, well, you're also forced to like have your seatbelt when you're driving, you know? Like I guess that's how I saw it more than anything. Like a lot of people were like really angry about it. I was like, yeah, well, you're not allowed to do cocaine either, right? Like,
yeah.
I thought that's how the way that I saw it. I don't know why people like got so like.
The mask thing is weird like we've talked about it. So how many times have we fucking talked about masks?
I know it was I can't remember where I saw it. It was some kind of funny bit, maybe on Family Guy or South Park or something, where they're like, "Fuck you, government! If I don't want to wear a seatbelt, I don't want to wear a seatbelt." And he fucking takes seatbelt off and gets in a fucking car wreck and flies through the windshield.
Yeah,
And he's like, "I died doing what I love." Like some stupid shit like that. I don't remember what it was.
Because, like, honestly, like, I don't, like, okay, not that I don't understand why it got so trivialized, because I do. Because it's fucking America and our politics are dumb. But, like, on the one hand with the masks, it's like, again, I try to play devil's advocate, and I try to see, like, the other side of the argument. Mm-hmm. And if I was president, and if I got told that there was a respiratory virus that was taking out a bunch of people, putting them in hospitals, what would I do? The first thing out of my mouth is cover your face. Yeah, that's the first thing. Is like find a way to cover your face. Just find a way. But like now that we have so much data about it, and because I don't know, that Arnold video came out I think in August of last year when he was like, "Screw your freedoms, wear a mask, get vaccinated." It's like, well, now we know though, dude. Where it's like this thing has a 2% mortality rate, right? 2% fatality or death rate. Most of the people that are getting hospitalized or dying have at least, like the fucking NIH or the CDC released this. They have an average of 3 comorbidities. Fucking obesity can only be one of those. So that's fucking autoimmune disorders. That's I mean, what else even? Because all I hear about is fucking obesity and autoimmune.
Heart disease, lung disease.
Yeah, anything, diabetes. Right? So you have...
No, you see, I get that. Like, trust me, I saw the numbers too, and I was like, like 2%. Like, I'm pretty sure that sugar kills more people.
I think Oreos. Not to take a shit on your Oreos.
Whoa, brother. Don't get personal here, man. I'll throw hands for this Oreos.
I'm pretty sure old Bud here has killed more people than COVID has.
I guess that, like, for example, was I a fan of like the lockdowns and like close the gyms and like people don't leave their houses and like how it fucked up the economy? No, absolutely not. I did thought that like people make a bigger deal of what it is of wearing like the mask and like the vaccines, because like we were talking the other day, like people suddenly are all like, "Oh, the vaccine, like what is in that?" And it's like, didn't you do cocaine with the weekend though? Like I don't know. I feel like people got like really touchy about that.
Well, no, the point you're trying to make is like nobody in America gave a fuck about what they put in their bodies. The grand majority didn't give a fuck about what they put in their bodies until the vaccine came out. It's like, oh fuck,
like I mean,
what's in it? What are we doing?
I mean, Oreos, man. I'm not sure what there is in this thing. How did you make this so delicious, man? I honestly don't want to know. Like I don't want to know. I'm gonna be honest with you. So for me, like the part that I wanted to see is like, yeah, you're right, just 2% die. But I was like, if I can just save one person's life, I was like, it didn't mean much for me to have my mask. It's not like I put my mask and it's like carrying 300 kilos on my back. I'm like, it's putting a mask. You're wearing like hand sanitizer. I was like, you know something? Yeah, I'm willing to do that. If like I saved the life of a little like 80-year-old person, like I'm like, okay, great.
You know what? That like, God, it still annoys the shit out of me. But like, that fucking baffled me at the beginning of the pandemic when like people like fucking Dr. Oz, Jimmy Fallon, Jimmy Kimmel, Stephen Colbert, they were like on their talk shows teaching people how to fucking wash their hands. You ever see that? Did you see that?
Oi, brother.
Dude, go on YouTube. Yeah, I know. I got those too.
Oh, brother.
You got doubles.
Go on YouTube real quick and look up Jimmy Fallon washing hands COVID. And I got to pee real quick. Oh, that beer's getting to me, dude.
Took you a while. Damn, bro, I can't imagine Jimmy Fallon teaching you how to wash your hands.
Bro,
like how old, like what audience watches this? A 5-year-old, a 4-year-old, or like if you're like 40? I don't get it.
I don't know. See your hand signal. Explains. I don't know.
I really hope Noah was wrong and there is not such thing, though, because that would be disappointing as fuck.
Still wash around. Oh, there it is.
Oh.
No,
Yep.
that was 5 years ago.
That was 5 years ago?
2016. Yeah, look at that.
Oh, okay, so.
2 years ago, Dr. Oz, hand washing tips showed like gross transmission. Wash your hands song 2 years ago, so that's coronavirus. So
I didn't thought that it was so hard, though. Well, apparently it is. I'm surprised.
I'm guessing that's it.
Yeah, I think that's it.
That, or even this one, Dr. Oz.
I didn't thought that it was that hard, but apparently it is, though.
Some people don't know, man. I don't know. It's
Well, I still remember the people who drink the... What was it that Trump said? Didn't they drink bleach? Something like that? I'm like, God damn, bro. You want to see God? God, okay. That's what I got out of it. Yeah, you know, like, if you want to see God, get those Tide Pods as snacks, man. Like, close favorite.
You're absolutely right. If reasonable behavior is one thing that can save a life, let's just do it. It's washing your hands.
What did you find?
So there was something about 5 years ago where it was Jimmy Kimmel and this guy learned how to wash their hands. That came out 5 years ago.
But that was 5 years
That was
ago.
5
Okay,
years ago.
but no, but the Dr. Oz one, that's exactly what I'm talking about.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
That was 2 years ago.
So Dr. Oz tells people how to wash their hands.
Wait, pause it real quick, pause it.
Oh my God.
So, mind you, Dr. Oz, and we can fact check this, but as far as I know,
It's not a doctor.
he's not a fucking doctor.
Oh.
He's a fucking TV yeah, find that actually. Is Dr. Oz a doctor? I am 99% sure he's not a real fucking doctor.
Huh. Damn, that would be a big disappointment.
Yeah, like most Western media, yeah, a big disappointment. Looking at you, Star Wars. Looking at you. But yeah, I'm pretty sure he's not like a legitimate doctor. Dr. Oz for Senate. Oh, please fuck off. You got to zoom in for me a little bit, dude. I'm blind.
Yeah, he's an actual doctor.
Oh, is he? Okay, cool.
Okay, yeah,
Okay.
save that, though, because,
Okay, I don't know where I read that, but I read somewhere at one point that he was a doctor. Okay, go back to the YouTube, please.
Thank God he is, though. I wouldn't be really disappointed if he wasn't.
Oh, just in case you didn't. Barney's not an actual dinosaur. I don't know. If
Wait, bro, that what? Bro, that do not throw these rocks at me right now.
Well, first, I'll say one thing. As a
My
surgeon,
emotions.
My career, if you tell people the truth, that's going to hurt a little bit. Yeah. They get prepared, everyone does fine. So there's a lot of good news out there, but some of the information that we're getting is a little scary. So I'll give you both sides, okay? And then I think people can act. But the big message here is we can do this. We've mobilized as a nation before.
So yeah, for those of you guys listening, this is from like the very beginning of the pandemic. We're watching Dr. Oz on Jimmy Kimmel.
To catch up, to get enough ventilators for the government to figure out what they're going to do. But only if the people can hear
And
my
what's
voice
sad
and
is we
now
actually
act,
found out that
are we gonna
ventilators
buy
are doing a lot
ourselves
more
time?
harm than
Because
good.
this
So
pandemic is spreading so rapidly.
Yeah.
But a lot of our leaders are of the belief that we're going to have most of the population.
You
of
know,
this
funny
country
thing, the
infected
Mexican
within a
president said
Now,
not
that's a
lying,
problem,
not stealing,
It's also a problem because we don't
being
have the
honest
resources to
helps
take care
you
of
to don't get
half the
COVID.
people in the country. So by
And they
slowing
also
down
said that COVID was a disease for rich people.
completely change
please keep that in the back of your head because we're gonna find the fuck out of that.
that's our goal right now. What
You
is
don't want to see my president.
All right, skip
right
to
now.
the part where they're showing how to wash
we
hands.
believe that got married together? It probably happened around that.
Oh, go back. Fuck yeah, go back. Wait.
Infect us in ways we never imagined possible. It probably happened around that wet market in Wuhan that everyone talks about. But now this new virus
All right, pause
we've
it.
never seen before.
So funny thing to bring with the wet market. That was the big theory, right? Was
Yeah.
that it went from the bats in the wet market. Someone ate it, gave it whatever.
Yes.
Back when this came out, this is probably like what, May of 2020
years ago, yeah.
ish. So let's say it's like May of 2020. Well, no, this is probably like April or some shit because of how early this is. But I see the publishing date.
Mark.
Oh, it's March. Oh, fuck. Okay. So at this point, if you had a platform, right? If you were an actual like celebrity or like a Joe Rogan, Jordan Peterson type, Brett Weinstein, he got canceled for this. If you were to go on Twitter or any of your social media outlets and you were to say that that maybe, right? Not even saying it for sure, but maybe the virus came from the Wuhan lab in China, the lab, right? If you were to say that, you would get canceled off of social media. Now it is accepted as fact that the gain of function research produced this fucking virus. It is accepted as fucking fact. And I love bringing that shit up because a lot of people don't know about it, A. And B, like, now granted, did the virus like come out of the lab and maybe go to the bats in the Wuhan fucking wet market, something like that? Sure. But did you hear about that? Like
Yeah,
the gain of function shit? Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I just think that's fucking wild how much can change in 2 years.
Why do you think they got cancelled? Like, why do the United States care if I say?
Well, because the citizens don't care. It's the government. You're speaking out against their narrative. Because at that point, they don't want to be. I mean, the government never wants to be wrong.
Yeah.
But especially at the beginning of the pandemic.
Yeah, that, and because A, it's easier to say, hey, this came from some random bat that some random dude ate,
Right,
rather
or
than
like
B,
China, like-
this came from a Chinese lab
That we funded.
as
And also,
Americans.
you got to remember at this point, not everyone hated Fauci yet.
Okay.
Fauci was still the fucking golden boy of the government. But when we find out that Fauci was one of the lead scientists doing the fucking gain of function research
changes
that
a lot.
produced COVID, and the fact that the motherfucker, like, again, it's a tangent, but the fact that the motherfucker still gets time on CNN or like still gets to fucking say things to the American people makes zero sense to me. Anyway, all right, go ahead, play it. Please.
So no one actually recognizes it. Our immune system can't fight it off. We don't have any firewalls to protect.
Yeah, try to find like where they're showing people how to wash hands. It's so ridiculous.
And good news, the pension stop. This is a good one. You help other. If you actually know the facts.
Doc, check this out. This is really interesting.
Okay, wait. Yeah, back it up so we can see, like, back it up to where it's like zoomed in, because the amount of common sense shit that is on this gay little pamphlet.
Check this out.
Pause it. Okay, get sleep, exercise regularly, improve air quality, and meditate. Okay, let's just take that first bracket, right? Those are things you should be doing anyway. Now, granted, look, I mean, we've talked about this. My sleep schedule isn't fantastic.
It's the Joe Rogan special right there.
But, like, look, I sleep 5 to 6 hours a night, and I operate just fine.
Yeah.
Like, now, granted, the cut kind of killed me, but that's, like, obvious.
That happens,
But
yeah.
if I'm on a decent diet, I can go off of 5 or 6 hours of sleep, and I will operate just fine. But, like, exercising regularly, the best you can do to improve air quality, but, like, sleeping, eating right, exercising, and meditation is fine if you can, like, find the right way to do it. Like, that's bullshit. Meditate because it may support your immune system.
I don't think that's...
That's bullshit.
Oh,
Meditation is basically for your fucking... Just for
But
your
you see,
brain.
I love that they put exercise regularly when they close the gyms.
See, okay, now...
That was beautiful.
I was gonna-
I love that.
I was going to bring that up a little bit earlier, because what blew my mind is because when COVID first started, they did the whole, like, essential business thing, right?
Yeah.
Fucking Taco Cabana, McDonald's, Wendy's, Burger King, all these fast food places that fucking kill people stayed open. But the gym shut down.
Okay, but...
Outdoor tracks shut down.
Okay, well, honestly, like... You think that it could be just because the fast food industry has, like... 20 times more money than the gym industry?
It does. No, it definitely does. But again, I just think that's another way of that needs to be shown to people of how corrupt the system is.
Oh, it definitely is. So.
And then so you go to hygiene.
Handshakes are canceled.
Handshakes are canceled.
Handshakes are... Oh, my God.
Can we still do, like, fist bump? Or, like, kiss on the lips?
No, it's racist. No, kissing's okay because that's gay, and gay is okay.
Oh, okay. If I say no homo, would that be, like, not okay?
Canceled. You just said
Oh,
homo.
fuck. I fucked up.
Okay, so yeah. Handshakes are canceled. Eliminate face touching, triple your hand washing, and disinfect surfaces. Like, cleaning your house and washing your hands
Have some hygiene.
are things you should be doing anyway. So anyway, we go to you can play it, but like, there's a part where they actually like show people how to wash their hands, and I just want to show that and get out of this shit. But it's ridiculous.
Their lifestyle. Most people.
Yeah, see.
Hey, wash your hands. That's terrible.
People find this funny.
No, I'm going to show you how a surgeon washes their hands. Because you're washing the back of your wrists, right? No, that's not important. It's your fingers that touch your face. So after you get the soap on your hands, you do the Turkish twist. You go like this, rub the fingers in there, right? And then you got to do the Tony Tum. Right, rub the fingers, the thumbs, opposing digits. Seriously, we learned this in medical school.
I know, I just don't want to end up a meme.
Okay, and then grease the palm. Grease the palm.
Yeah.
Right, both sides. That's 20 seconds. Wash your hands. Use the paper towel to turn off the sink, and to get the door open and exit. But if you do that, that one issue by itself halves the chance you get the coronavirus we believe.
Okay, so
Just
pause
washing
it.
your hands
You
is
can
just
get out of it. You can get out of this shit. But
That's
like, look,
beautiful.
here's my thing, right? Okay, look, I have never claimed to be a genius or even a relatively smart person. I don't read. Words scare me. But when I'm washing my hands, I mean, I don't ever really think about washing my hands, I guess. But when I do it, it's like, well, I'm gonna clean my fingers because that's what touches things.
The palm of your hand is what it's
And then I'm gonna clean my palms of my hands because that also touches things. Why do I need Jimmy Fallon to show me how to do it? Or has our country gone down that far?
Why does Typod have to say, like, you don't have to eat those? Like, I don't know, bro. Why does shampoo
Honestly-
have instructions?
Honestly, we should have let.
Oh yeah, that funny thing why everything has warning labels on it because someone's done that thing and tried
Yeah.
suing the
Yeah,
company.
Didn't someone sue Red Bull because he didn't gave him wings? Something like that?
Yeah, some stupid shit.
Yeah, see, like...
Honestly, dude, we should have let those Tide Pod eating idiots fucking eat.
Oh,
the
yeah,
Tide
I thought
Pods. We should have
natural
let 'em.
selection-
We should have
natural
let 'em.
selection
That's
would be
natural
beautiful.
selection.
Yeah.
We should have let them.
If you forget how to breathe, like, that's not on me,
But
man.
what did you bring up earlier though about how the Mexican government said that if you're honorable or if you didn't
Oh,
steal,
yeah, okay, first of all, they said that, like, COVID, it was the fault of rich people, because when COVID first got here, like, it was because from Europe, right? Like, it was around China, then it went to Europe, and then, like, it got to Latin America. And they said, like, oh, yeah, this is a disease that just the rich people bring, because they are the ones traveling outside the country. That was, like, one of the first things they say. Then our president said that in order to don't get COVID, you should be honest, you shouldn't lie, and you shouldn't steal. And that's how you will protect yourself from COVID.
sounds a lot like Nimmy. It was Graf your president, bro.
I know, right? No, bro, that president is a comedian, man. He's the biggest joke that I've ever seen.
I can try to find it. It's gonna take me a second.
Yeah, it's fine. Yeah, it's fine. So I just think that's fucking insane. I don't know. So let's start at like March of 2020. I'm very curious about like your pandemic like experience.
Mm-hmm.
Where did you start the pandemic? What country?
I was in Mexico.
You're in Mexico. So how long were you in Mexico for?
I had been in Mexico, it was like March, so probably like 8-9 months.
Okay.
I had been here in New Mexico before that.
Okay, so when the pandemic first kicks off, you're in Mexico.
Yeah.
What was that like? What were the Mexican like lockdowns like? The regulations?
At first, people were just like, oh, it's all the way over there. It won't get here. We didn't have any cases. We were just like, eventually something's going to come up. Like someone's going to come up with a vaccine. Don't worry much about it though. And then they were like, hey, there was a case here. And we were like, oh, damn. Then there's like, hey, there is a case in San Luis. I eventually like start spraying out to the point where they were like, hey, like my parents got like really, really freaked out about it. I was living with my parents at the time though. And my mom is like, yeah, you guys cannot leave the house anymore.
Oh, you were telling me about that.
Yeah. I like eventually the government tried to close Mexico. They tried to do the lockdowns. But when you're such a poor country, if you like people are not working, because they make day by day like life savings and stuff. If people are not working, they are going to starve to death. So the government realized like, okay, I cannot close this stuff though. Like we have to keep it going. So they start opening up a little bit more and stuff. Some people were really careful. Some other ones were like, let's do a COVID party. Well, they will try to get COVID on purpose, so they will get rid of it and be
We
like,
have people in the States doing that too.
yeah, beautiful idea. So yeah, a lot of people try to do that kind of stuff though. And yeah, you just start like slowly, like people start realize like, hey, we gotta keep on living our lives, and slowly start opening up and slowly start opening up. Then I came to the States when I was staying with Brannies. The United States was totally open. You just had to wear a face mask. And then I got to Canada.
So at what point was that where you moved back to the States?
So
in Florida specifically, right?
It was on March. Okay, so I was there in March, and I left to the States on December to spend like vacation with Brannies. So I spent like a month there, and that's when like the United States was super chill and everything. I had to do some paperwork for Canada.
That's December of 2020?
Yeah, December 2020 to 2021.
Okay,
December,
and why it's important to bring that up is because you went to Florida. And Florida, right?
At that point, I went to Washington.
You were in Washington first.
Yeah.
Interesting, because Washington's a super liberal state.
Yeah.
But at that point in 2020, there was no masks?
There were masks, were masks inside the buildings.
But the lockdowns weren't crazy.
No. Okay. No. I was going to LA Fitness and everything. Like there was no lockdown. I had a great time.
Well, because that whole part of the country is super fucking liberal. So I think that's why it's important. So especially because now you live in Florida.
Yes.
You know, like here in New Mexico, we barely just got rid of our mask mandate like a month ago. I think a month ago, right, Joey?
Yeah, just about.
like give or take. Yeah, we literally just got rid of our mask mandate, whereas Florida, y'all been wearing masks for like a year.
Oh no, bro! I got to Florida and I realized like, oh, apparently like masks are a thing here. I was like, okay, like I can roll with this. I honestly don't mind at all. I
Right.
think that like, yeah, we're done with it.
Mexico. Okay, so now we found the article about the Mexican president. So, Mexico president ramps up rich versus poor rhetoric in coronavirus fight. Thank you. As the outlook for Mexico's economy gets gloomier during the coronavirus crisis, President Manuel Lopez Obrador, has driven home the message that his government is ready to help the poor to weather the storm, but the rich can forget it.
Oh, bro, wanna know one of the best things that he ever said though? He said that people who get kidnapped happens because there is like social inequality. Like you get kidnapped if you're rich. He's like, yeah. So
Wait. You get kidnapped if you're rich.
yeah, pretty much, right?
So is this
that's his
like
narrative.
So is this like getting kidnapped because they can hold you for a ransom?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So he's like, oh, that just happens for rich people, right? So I have the perfect idea. Let's don't have rich people. So pretty much saying like, let's be socialist. I was like, oh, that's fucked up, man.
Who is this guy?
That guy? One of the dumbest Mexican tourists in the world?
God, what the fuck, man?
No, yeah, he's a scary dude, though. Like, how dumb he is quite scary.
How long? Can you look up how long he's been president for?
I think, like,
Can you hand me a
3-4
Can you hand me a
years.
Corona?
3-4 years, I believe he's been president.
You have a bottle opener? Please. Please. I know I have one in here somewhere.
December 2018.
Yeah.
So it's been 4 years.
Yeah, 4 years. And y'all's term is 6, right?
Yeah.
Typically.
No, but some people are scared that he might re-elect himself. Oh, yeah, that would be beautiful for the Mexican community.
Re-elect himself.
Yeah, you're supposed to, you only can do it once. Like, you can be president once. 6 years. You cannot go for another term. But some people are scared, like, hey, you know something? This guy is a little bit, like...
Unhinged.
Yeah. So, yeah. Oh, dude, my family is so freaked out about that guy, though. Because he makes, like, really some bold claims. How, like, oh, rich people are the issue. And it's like, they provide jobs, though. You're the one stealing the money from the poor people.
I was going to say, in a country like Mexico, you might need the rich people to help you guys stay alive.
Bro, if, like... Yeah, if all the rich people leave, probably Mexico will crumble, like, in a couple of months. So.
And we'll leave this topic after this, but can you look up real quick what the peso to the U.S. dollar is right now?
I think we're like at 24 pesos $1.
What the fuck?
Can you believe that at some point it was 10 pesos?
Yeah.
I remember everyone thinking about that, like, bro,
That
can
was
you...
in like high school for us.
Well, no, I remember...
Like
Yeah,
10
that was in
pesos
high
for
school.
Well, I remember at
Yeah.
one point, I think it was my senior year at NIMI, the peso went to 17 and people started freaking the fuck out.
Beautiful times, huh? Pretty sure it's like 22, 24, something like that, though.
$20.
20.36.
That's still not
Okay.
good.
Oh, fuck no, man. When you think that was 10 pesos at some point,
Jesus.
like, wow.
I thought that was cool. I was like, let's go to Mexico. I can buy like 10 things for one thing.
Oh, no, bro. For you, it's probably like the best thing in the world. For people who are making money in dollars, they're like, score. For us, it's like, ouch.
It's like, oh shit.
Ouch.
The Mexicans got the shit into the stick again.
Yeah, we always do.
Have
man.
you seen Eurotrip? Have you seen that movie?
Which one?
Eurotrip?
Euro trip.
It's a comedy from like the early 2000s. It's a bunch of like college kids that go to Europe for like the end of the high school or end of college like vacation. And there's this part where they're staying at a hotel. I forget what part of fucking Europe they're in. And the dude, one of the guys, he's like the asshole character.
Yeah.
The bellhops and the bag boys, they bring their luggage up to their room and they're waiting for their tip. And the guy pulls out like pocket change, like 50 cents or some shit, and drops it in the guy's hand. And the bellhop's like, oh, so much money! I'm gonna start my own hotel! And he runs away. So one thing I definitely want to talk about with you before we get out, we'll finish this, not leave, but before we finish this, is fucking bodybuilding.
Oh, brother.
Bodybuilding. That is like, to say it's a big part of your life is a fucking understatement.
Probably.
Like, you've been bodybuilding since you were 16, right?
Yes.
Okay. So I want to know the whole story, man. Like, what got you into it? Like, where does your interest start?
Well, I was a pretty skinny kid, like really, really skinny. I was doing what was the sport? Track and field. So I was like a big like distance runner, 5Ks, 10Ks kind of stuff though. So I got like really like underweight. And like slowly I like watched the Rocky movies. I remember like see him lifting and everything. I thought like, wow, like I realized like, hey, it is better to have some muscle on you when it comes to fighting rather than just be like the skinny guy, because like the heavier you are, the better your punches and stuff. I thought like, yeah, you know something, I really think that I want to get into like lifting. So I slowly start lifting. I look up to Mike Tyson, Roy Jones, and all of those like jacked.
And how old were you
boxers.
at this point?
Probably was like 13 years old.
Okay.
I think that I was like 5'10", and like shit, man, probably like 117, 120. I was a really underweight kid. I remember that at some point, because of all the running that we were doing some event at the school, and I passed out. Like in the middle of the sun, I just passed out. And I was like they told me like, yeah, you are undernutrition. Like you need to eat more. You need to eat more because like you are running all these miles, and you don't eat properly. I was like, damn. So I start like eating and everything. I realized like, okay, I want to get huge, and then eventually get into fighting. Like that was like how I see it. So I started lifting. We moved to San Luis Potosí. I was in Aguascalientes. We moved to San Luis Potosí. And turns out that my math teacher had been a bodybuilder. And he had been like Mr. Mexico, like they're placing Mr. Mexico. I was like, oh, damn, like lucky me though. I can ask him all these questions and stuff. So I started asking him like, hey, like, what do you think? I'm doing bench press for this. I'm like eating this. I'm eating that. And he will like start guiding me. And he actually told me like, hey, there is going to be a bodybuilding show like in a month, something like that, if you want to come watch it. And I was like, oh, yeah, sure, why not though? So I went and I watched it, and suddenly they had a category that was from people who were under 18 years old. And I see these guys, I'm like, oh damn, I look better than those guys though. I'm like, huh? Like, I could probably do this though. So I told him like, hey, I saw the like category of like under 18, and I was like, they look like shit. I was like, yeah, don't they? I was like, do you think I could do it? And he's like, why don't you give it a try though? So like I prepped for like a show in May, something like that. I took second place. If I had taken first, I would have gone to the Mr. Mexico. The guy who took first, he was like a fucking like beast though. And like my coach told me like he's on roids, don't worry. I was like, oh wow, like shit, a 17-year-old on roids already? Like that's impressive though. So I kept competing, but I also like I didn't want to be just a bodybuilder, because I realized how like how limited you are. Like I see a lot of people who have like a lot of muscle, but they don't have any stamina. They can't lift heavy. Like it's just for looks. I was like, no, I don't want this for the looks. I want to be as athletic as fuck. I want to be a fucking superhero. So I kept combining like boxing with other sports. I competed in Golden Globes in New Mexico. I won it twice.
And that's when we were at NIMI, right?
Yeah, in 2015 and 2017, I won in Golden Globes in the 175 category. I did triathlons. I just did a 10K like 2 months ago. Took second place like in the overall. So I always been.
Well, bro, fucking yesterday morning you ran what, 10 miles?
Oh, more than that, man. It was like 12 miles, something like that. It was half a marathon. It was the 20K. So yeah, I try to be like as athletic as I can, because I didn't like the idea of having like a nice body and not being able to do anything with it. Like I was like, that's stupid. Like you look great, but you can't do anything with it. Like why though? You're technically just like this model. Like
right.
You don't do shit with it. But for example, if I see like a Mike Tyson, a Roy Jones, Francis Ngannou, Kamaru Usman, who are jacked to the bones, but they are also able to perform, I was like, I want to be that guy. I want to be like those guys. So that's one of the reasons why I like kept bodybuilding, because I just keep building muscle and like losing fat, building muscle, losing fat. I realized that once that you get to like 6% body fat and then you start bulking again, it allows you to reach like a higher level. That if you were to be like, oh, I'm gonna bulk to 13% body fat and cut to 10, 13 body percent, 10. If you go to the streams, I feel like it gives you a better muscle maturity, and like it allowed me to do other things. Because for example, in my senior year in high school, I went down to 175 to compete in Golden Globes. I won Golden Globes. I won by TKO, and then I dropped to 165 for my bodybuilding show. So like, oh, this works great though. I gotta lose weight for boxing anyway, because the weight classes for boxing is like 200 pounds, 175, 165,
right. Yeah,
158. I'm like, shit, like the guys between 200 and 175 are really screwed. Like I can't fight at 200. I'm not naturally like that heavy, and I feel pretty heavy like if I were to do it as a boxer. So I always have to drop to 175 or 168 depending on how I'm feeling with my cut. So like, at that point I already look like pretty lean. I'm gonna say like 9% body fat. So like, hey, why don't just to keep dropping until like do it? For example, one of the plans that I have right now is that I want to run a marathon in January. In June. In June, I want to run a marathon. So I'm like, I would want to do that at like at 175, something like that, and then do a bodybuilding show at like 165. I'm like, just drop into more pounds. So yeah.
Okay, so there's a lot to unpack there. Okay, so
yes,
so
I went on my little rant.
No, that's awesome. That's exactly what I want. So you feel that like the greater deficit that you create, whereas like you said, if you're going from like 13% body fat to 10, when you start bulking back up from that 10, you're not gonna be able. You're not having a whole lot of margin to grow and have that muscle mature, like you said. But if you drop from like a 15% body fat to like a 9% or an 8% because you've cut down so much weight, your body, it seems like your body's just so eager.
It has to overcompensate.
Right, exactly.
Because you've been so depleted that your body's like, please give me food. I'll do anything for food. Like, that's what, like, your body, like, you're destroying it pretty much. Your body's fighting back. Your body doesn't like it to be under 10% body fat. And because you've been doing it for so long, like, bro, I remember, like, I'll be like cutting and then I'll have like a couple of carbs and the energy that I get out of it is just amazing. Like something that I never had before in my life. Like I can go for a 3-hour run after having a couple of donuts. I'm like, that's weird. When I'm bulking and I do that, I don't feel any different. But it's because your body has to overcompensate for that. So your body's like, now we have like energy. Let's put it on glycogen. Let's put it into muscles and all that kind of stuff. And I think like, because a lot of people have always tell me like, bro, it's like really weird. You have like a lot of muscle maturity and like for being a natural, you're a pretty big guy. I'm like, well, I think that it has to do with the fact that I've been competing for the last 9 years in bodybuilding. Like every year I try to have a really extreme cut. Does it have repercussions? Do I get cold pretty easy? Do I get moody and eating disorders? Yes. Are the gains worth it? Absolutely. So yeah, that's how I go about it.
So let's break that down, right? So for an extreme cut in what's your definition of extreme cut? Like how does it start and how does it end?
It depends on like how much you are burning per day. For example, not per day. For example, when I was on getting ready for my last bodybuilding show, I was just hitting the gym like 2 hours a day and doing 1 hour of cardio. But it was like really a steady cardio, like the bike kind of thing. I remember that I was like in 1,000 calories, 1,100 for like 2 months. And taking into account I'm like 6'1", I probably was like at 187 when I started that. That's probably the calories that someone who weighs like 90 pounds should be having. And compared with all the exercise that I was doing.
Right.
It was just brutal. Like my body was not having it. But right as soon as I start bulking, like my veins pop out, my muscles, I can see that I'm getting like way bigger in just a couple of months. So. And I think that I will say that if your deficit is greater than 1,000 calories, that's extreme freaking cut though. Like that's like, you're killing it.
So how far were you into a prep before you started like, okay, I'm getting down to 1,000 to 1,100? Like how long was the cut going on before that happened?
So I think that I started my prep on January like 8th when I just came back from New York or something like that. I started like in 2,200 calories. And honestly, man, I'm a little of a perfectionist and I want things to be as quick as possible. So I want to say that every week I was like dropping like 100 calories, 100 calories,
no
100
shit.
calories. Yeah, it wasn't the smartest idea. Honestly, I wouldn't recommend it for like anyone.
Right. Well, because what's important to take into account is like anything, especially like recently, I would say like in the last like 3 years, especially, what you were putting yourself through, your body's backing that up with years of preparation of like, I've done a cut, I've done a bulk, I've competed here, I've done fighting here. Like you've put your body through massive trauma over years. You can't just take the average dude off the street and say 1,100 calories go. Their body will literally shut down.
Yeah. No, and that's one of the things that like, that's why I was really happy when you competed and I told you like, hey, this is your first show. Like, it's not supposed to go great. Like I look back on my other pictures and I'm like, I thought I was killing myself. I thought I was doing everything right. And he was like, yeah, maybe you were. Like, it was really hard. But the more you keep doing it, the more you understand your body, the more you understand your calories. And your body gets away with it. Your body gets like, oh, we're cutting now. Okay, I get how this works. And you learn to, like, control your own ways of doing things. You realize, like, oh, so if I cut calories too soon, this is going to happen. This is how I'm going to feel. I can fight it back by doing this, that. And that's pretty much how I've been doing it. And to the point I don't have a coach anymore. I just like do it by myself, and it's been working pretty damn good. I got my pro card in Arizona like 3 years ago, something like that. I'm like, oh wow, all these people with their coaches. I'm like 25. I'm paying like for steroids, and I'm just here like, sucks to be you guys. I'm sorry.
Well, no, that's honestly one of my like personal favorite things after getting done with this prep was like, am I going to compete again? I'm not sure. But what I will say is like, after getting like, 'cause I mean, I've been working out and like lifting weights since I was in high school, but like doing it correctly and like dieting correctly, like I've known how to do squat, bench, deadlift, all that stuff. That's all fine and good, but like implementing it properly, supplementing it properly, like doing all of that, I didn't really get a good grasp on that until like you started training me 2 years ago. I gotta be honest, like I didn't get a good grasp on that, and there's so much more to it. And so over this process, and then especially getting into the cut in like that halfway of August-ish, September of last year, we really got like, okay, we're tracking this, we're going here. Okay, now we're really, and especially fucking January, Jesus Christ.
Yeah, that's when it got rough, man.
Yeah, but like learning all of that, like getting that intimate with my own body, like I figured out like what exercise variants work the best for me, which ones don't really do too much for me, what muscle groups need the most attention. Like for me, like the easiest muscle groups for me to work without a doubt are my chest and my hamstrings. I have no idea why, but I get a thick, nasty pump in my chest and my hamstrings. That's just, it takes no work at all. I almost always get a great workout. It's all said and done. But like without a doubt, the worst fucking body part for me are my shoulders.
Your shoulders.
I cannot fucking do it. I don't know why, but it takes like, especially during the cut, it took like extra low weight, extra slowed reps, like really make sure there's blood going there. And then, you know, going into the nutrition and the supplementation part of it, like becoming carb sensitive for the first time.
It's a great fucking feeling.
I mean, it's great, but it's weird. It was because like, I understand like getting energy from like natural food, like from actual food, getting energy from that, being able to go work out. I've always understood that. But like getting to the point where I'm at like 11, 10, 9% body fat, and then eating like, I don't know, eating like 3 rice cakes. One of them has like peanut butter on it or some shit, and slamming a protein shake and being like,
what's happening to me?
What the fuck? And like feeling like the end, like I need to go fuck something or I'm gonna die. Like having that energy is from like something so simple as rice cakes.
Yeah.
Wild.
It's great. I don't,
wild.
Well, because that's another thing that, like, for example, a lot of boxers and like MMA fighters will do, where they like deplete themselves for like the 6 days, cut carbs and all of that kind of stuff, so they get rid of the water, make the weight cut, and then right away. Because, for example, I think that it was like Paulo Costa, someone like that. He fights at 185, but on fight day he's like 215, something like that. So that's like a ginormous amount of weight.
Yeah.
But it's not so much that like he just puts like 40 pounds of muscle or something like that. It's probably because right after the weigh-in he starts eating again, starts drinking water again, and he consumes so many carbs and so much water that like his body retains the liquid perfectly.
Right.
Because he's gonna need that energy for the fight the next day.
Well, and that's a huge, like, I think, you know, people who follow like UFC, right, specifically, they understand this, but a lot of like the common audience doesn't. The fighter you see at the weigh-in and the fighter you see step in the octagon are almost two completely different people. Because yeah, they'll cut water. Like I remember watching a video of like Jorge Masvidal and then Amanda Nunes, where they're like cooking themselves alive in these hot ovens, in these saunas, and then like their coaches have these scrapers where they're like scraping the water.
Oh, bro.
Have you seen that?
No.
Yeah, dude. See if you can find. Look up.
Is it Amanda Nunes?
Look up Masvidal first. Jorge Masvidal.
Weight cut.
Yeah, weight cut. And look for the video. And literally, dude, his coach is scraping. You know those little like things you use to like get the air bubbles out of your iPhone like cover? Imagine like a big thing of that. But he's like scraping his arms to get the water out of his pores. They're covering him in hot towels. Like all this crazy shit.
But here's like another thing that like people don't realize.
Whoa.
There's athletes who have died of that.
Oh yeah.
There was a guy.
It's
on
not
Thailand.
healthy.
Oh yeah, there was a guy on Thailand who's like, oh, I gotta lose a couple pounds. He put on his hoodie, went for a run, died in the middle of the run.
Yeah.
And that's like the reality of weight cut, and you gotta be careful with that. Like kidney failure. Like sometimes the fights have to get screwed up because the weighting didn't go well.
Yep.
And that's where people have to realize, like, don't overdo it, man.
Well, that's the other thing too, is like another misconception that people need to understand, whether it's fighting, whether it's pro bodybuilding, or even like something a lot more like tangible. The actors that play the Marvel superheroes, right?
Yeah.
You look at these super jacked or super athletic guys, and yeah, you see the product of what they are, but these dudes have a team of literal scientists, nutritionists, trainers behind them that are getting everything. They're getting paid a lot of money, and they're getting everything down to the number, the exact decimal of what to do for these fighters, to do for these actors, so that they can produce the best thing possible and not fucking die.
But here's the thing, funny thing that you touch on, like the actors counting though, because honestly, I think that like most of them are on steroids.
They are.
Yeah, like because I was pretty big on like watching like the superheroes, like how they work out, how did they manage to put 40 pounds of muscle in like 3 months though. And then I see like their trainings and I see like their diets. I'm like, hey, that's exactly what I'm doing. How come I'm not putting 50 pounds of muscle in so like I think that's another thing that I should be more spoken to, where people should have like, especially if you're doing like a movie, if you're like, for example, Chris Hemsworth, who is like in those movies.
Dude, have you seen the pictures of Chris Hemsworth getting ready for the Hulk Hogan movie?
Yeah.
Oh,
Bro,
he's fucking
have
jacked.
you seen the workouts that he posts about like his app?
Yeah.
Where he's just like, oh, let me do a burpee, and then I throw this ball over here. I'm like, oh,
No,
really?
they
That's how
don't
you
show
put
the full
50
thing.
pounds of
Yeah,
muscle.
they don't show the full thing.
You're not squatting, you're not bench pressing. And that like bothers me because they sell you something that you won't be able to obtain. Like me personally, I have like terrible eating disorders because when I was like 14, 15, when I started like my journey on that kind of thing, I will see like these bodybuilders like Ronnie Coleman, Jay Cutler, and like other bodybuilders who were like, oh yeah, I'm natural. Like they always used to say I'm natural. And they're like, I work out for 2 hours and I eat and I eat. I will work out my 2 hours. But then I realized like, hey, I'm not putting like the size that these guys are. It's been a year and I'm not even close to what they put in their first year. It's probably the eating. I'm probably not eating enough. So I will try to eat more and I will try to eat more and I will try to eat more, to the point I was eating like, dude, my mom was not having it with me. She was like, this meat was for everyone. You just finished the entire meat for all the house. Like, how dare you? Like, I'm pissed right now. So like, eventually when I have to do my cuts and stuff, it was really hard for me because I went from like eating 5,000 calories to 1,000. And like eventually that's gonna have like repercussions on you though. And that creates eating disorders and body dysmorphia and all of this kind of stuff.
So you're on the right video. Just pause it. I want to hear what he has to say. But no, you're right.
And like if they had been honest and they had just been like, I'm taking steroids, I probably would be like, oh, so I don't need to eat like 5,000 calories. I don't need to like because bro, I remember that I would finish my meal and have to sit down and stare at the ground trying not to throw up. Just being like focused in not throwing up. Because if I throw up, I gotta eat again because I want my gains. So if people were more honest about like their steroid use and all that, I think that will help a lot with society. Less bodies, more, because that's the issue though. You're a natural and someone else claims to be a natural, but they are on gear. It makes you feel like she's like,
go Hearn.
Oh, brother, oh, those tremboloni sandwiches he has are the best ones, man. They guarantee you gains. So you see, that's like really harmful because if if I've been doing 10 years of bodybuilding and so have you, but you have been using steroids and you claim that you're natural, I'm gonna think that I'm not working hard enough. My diet is not on point. Blah, 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 blah. And you make me feel insecure about myself. You make me feel like, oh, I'm not working hard enough. What do I have to do? What do I have to change? To the point that, like, me at Nemi, spending 3 hours at the gym, having 5 meals a day, eating 5,000 calories, just to put fat and having eating disorders and not having much of a social life because, again, 3 hours in the fucking gym. Because every time I thought, like, maybe if I add another 30 minutes, another 3 sets, this is how it's gonna go. It didn't, man.
So this brings up something we've both experienced with the organization that I competed in today. Their way of ensuring naturals is they don't drug test, they do a polygraph.
Yes.
Something that is not admissible in the United States judicial system.
Yes.
They do not hold up in court. How do I put this? So, in your experience competing in natural bodybuilding, do you feel like you've ever ran into anyone who might have been enhanced?
Well, I don't know, man, because like there was this guy who won like our natural show, and then 8 months later he won the Ronnie Coleman show. So either he was one of out of a trillion, or maybe just maybe he could have been taking roids. So yeah, no, there's I see those guys. I'm like, bro, you look like you could win like the Mr. Olympia right now. What the fuck are you doing here, man?
How prevalent do you think it is in natural organizations and natural bodybuilding competitions? How prevalent would you say out of 10? Right, let's say you have the average of like 10 competitors. How many of those 10 do you think are taking steroids?
It really depends if we're looking at like the pros or like, for example, in the show that you had. I would dare to say that maybe two of those guys, they work pretty hard, but I was like, oh, that's suspicious. You do look pretty like great for being an amateur.
And what's interesting though about my show that we were doing too was like, and I had this conversation with my chick because she was like, were any of those guys on steroids? And I was like, they probably like took some cycle or like did like a little bit, but they weren't like the Jay Cutler, Ronnie level version of steroids.
Yeah,
where you're stacking fucking 800 milligrams of fucking test on Anavar, on D-ball, on Trin.
Could you go to ENBA, Mr. Olympia winner, please? Natural, yeah, ENBA, yeah.
Just NBA, not Ian, right?
International Bodybuilding Association. Here. Natural Mr. Olympia winner for 2021.
December 18, 2021?
Just clicking on the images. Let me see if I can see that guy.
2020, 2017.
Go lower.
I think it's the natural Mr. Olympia.
Yeah, natural. Yeah, just natural Mr. Olympia. Let's try with that one.
I'm sorry, I got shit in there that shouldn't be in there.
Don't worry about it, man. Okay.
So it should be like that top far left.
This guy?
No, that guy is definitely not like.
Because I'm seeing Big Ramy, I'm seeing C-Bum.
Go lower.
Yeah, Chris Bumstead's a god.
Yeah.
He is God among men. But anyway, while he's looking that up.
Yeah. Well, okay. So.
Oh, here we go. He found it. Just kidding.
Okay, yeah. So that's one of the guys who competes in the natural Mr. Olympia. He was a WWE fighter, a wrestler. My apologies, sorry. But okay, look at that guy, and tell me something. If he were to
Try talking to the mic a little bit. You good?
Yeah.
His name's Paul Kruger. Is that him?
I think Mel's bodybuilding. Yeah. Put Paul Kruger. Probably gonna have to put bodybuilder because I do. Yeah, I don't think that's the natural Mr. Olympia.
Okay, so anyway, you were gonna say?
Okay, so like when I see someone that I'm like, oh wow, that guy is incredibly jacked. I'm like, why doesn't he take steroids? Like if you're that big, if you're already like 240, like competing as a natural, why not to take steroids and actually win the real Mr. Olympia? Or maybe, just maybe, you are already taking steroids, and that's as far as you can get.
So what do you think? And now, when we ask questions like this, it's purely speculation.
Yeah,
and just
yeah,
kind of
yeah.
talking out of your ass. But like, why do you think so many dudes, whether you're competing or not, take steroids but then claim natural? What do you think the gain is from that?
I think that's because society is like really harsh on people who take on steroids. Like as soon as you say like, yeah, I take steroids, they think like, oh, you just take steroids. You just sit on your ass, take steroids, and that's all the work that you do. Like it takes some educated people to realize like, oh wow, even with steroids, I bet that you you probably put more hard work than any natural bodybuilder because you can recover easier. So your workload is probably heavier. If you see
Right.
Ronnie Coleman, he wasn't sitting on his ass. He was squatting 800 pounds. He was dying
Bro,
there.
he leg pressed like 1,800 pounds.
Bro,
what? Now, granted, it's sad because his spine is like fused together now. But holy,
I don't know if
fuck.
it's that sad because I have seen people have like worse injuries and they didn't become 8-time Mr. Olympia.
Well, I mean, no, he definitely did it to himself, and he earned the fuck out of his shit. But like, dude, an 1,800-pound leg. Like, people talk shit about leg press, but I've never seen anyone leg press
Even come close to that.
1,800 pounds.
Not just that though, like he can do that and also squat 800 pounds. Like that's quite impressive though. Well, yeah, you see.
Paul Kruger goes from amateur bodybuilder to pro bodybuilding champion overnight.
Oh wow, no way.
You know, I will say,
How did that happen?
credit where credit's due. I am shocked.
Why?
Shocked that Generation Iron is pumping out this article. I am shocked that they are.
Bro, didn't you realize that like I think that it was like in their movie they got into natural bodybuilding, like that
Well,
they
that's-
wanted to promote like natural bodybuilding.
Well, that's what I'm. What? No, Generation Iron is one of the companies that peripheralates fake natties all the time.
I know, that's why like
yeah, they're responsible for that shit. So I'm shocked that they're putting this out.
yeah, it's quite impressive, eh? No, they have like the interview with fucking Michael Earn, and he's like, yeah, no, it's just like it's different, you know, because I eat like my secret foods like chicken and rice, and I work out. And I was like, oh fuck, man, I was eating Oreos, and I thought I would get gains. Apparently, it was the chicken and rice, man. I never thought about it. It was quite impressive, quite a choker.
Oh my god, man. So yeah, and we were talking about this yesterday when we were putting on the tan, but like, yeah, but like,
Yeah, look at those
Fucking
like.
quads, dude.
Yeah, like that guy could be on a stage with Arnold Schwarzenegger and he will be competitive. He might actually beat Arnold. His legs might be bigger
His
than
legs
Arnold's.
are bigger than
Yeah.
Arnold's, dude.
So here's my thing though, like, which one is more likely that this guy is taking steroids or because if that's how he looks natural, how will he will look on steroids?
yeah.
Bill Heath, get out of the way. This guy's gonna beat you, man.
So that I just want to get your quick thoughts on this because that's a question that's coming up, especially now that C-Bum has won the physique 3 times.
Yeah,
At their peak, who do you think was better, Schwarzenegger or Bumstead?
I definitely think Bumstead easy.
Really?
I think Arnold. One of the reasons why he is like so loved and everything is just like his personality overall. But if you see like his physique that closely, it's not that like compared to the one of Chris. Like Arnold never had striated glutes or like his his legs were always like a lagging point kind of thing. And then like yeah, look at that.
Side by side. Yeah, blow it up, dude, like,
God damn.
Yeah, you see.
And they're saying that Kruger's natural.
Yeah, no, but you see, my question is like, what happens if you give Kruger steroids then? Or like Big Ramy is gonna get like overpowered by this guy? So you see, that's when I see a guy, I'm like, what will happen if they give you steroids? I'm like, oh, maybe they already did, and that's why like we are cool with it though. But honestly,
But this almost starts getting into the conversation of like, so that entire organization is corrupt.
oh, absolutely, man.
Like, why though?
Well, okay, because there is a couple things. One, they'll never have the money. Like you saw how many people were at the show.
yeah.
They don't make that much money. Though. They'll never have the money to have a decent drug testing like the UFC does. Like, with what money, man? Like, think about it. Like, they had to rent the entire theater for what? How many people were there? 30 people?
If that.
Yeah. If they get lucky, it was 30 people. I think there were more competitors than there were spectators.
Yeah. Which
So-
I kind of expected, to be
Yeah,
honest. And
no.
not even just because of like the whole natural thing, but just because like there was no marketing around town.
No.
Literally, the only marketing that I saw around town for that bodybuilding competition was at peak.
Dude,
That's it.
even more funny. We just went to Liberty there. They didn't have a poster. They had a poster for the competition in
Wait,
Roswell. In like 4 months, though. But it's because natural bodybuilding is not impressive, man. People don't want to see someone that looks human. They want to see Ronnie Coleman. They want to see it like an animal that you're like, holy crap, that's that.
Paul Kruger, dude.
No, bro, he's.
I am mesmerized by this man's quad. Oh, I'm muted. I am mesmerized by this man's quads, dude. Look at them. They're fucking massive.
Yeah, you see, and that's like,
Yeah, he's
Bro.
not even posing.
that's just disrespectful. You saying that you're natural is just because then what I've been doing, man. Like, holy fuck, I need to get your secrets. Which chicken and rice are you on, man?
I'm gonna start saying that from now. What chicken rice are you on, dog?
Man.
And like, here's my thing, because like, in my point of view, and I get it. There's a lot of misconceptions. Like, yeah, you sit on your ass, take steroids, and you become Arnold, right? Obvious misconception to people like us, but like to the uninitiated, that's what they think. But I have a lot more respect for people like fucking Chris Bumstead or Rich Piana, the late great Rich Piana, or even like people in my own life like Garrett that runs Legion.
Yeah.
These people are open about their steroid use, but they're realistic about it.
But you see,
And they're like, yeah, this is what I'm like. Literally, one of the funniest things I've ever heard on this fucking podcast is we had Garrett on, and he goes, "Yeah, I'm on steroids, and I just do a little bit of this, a little bit of that." He like went into it, and he goes, "Look, you can have a body like mine and not be on steroids. I'm just fucking lazy, and I want to be strong, so therefore I'm taking fucking steroids." So it's like, you know what? Fair enough.
But you see, I love that though, because it took me so long. Like, bro, I used to think that you could be open bodybuilding Mr. Olympia without steroids, because no one will talk about it. Ronnie Coleman didn't. Like, of course, now he went into Joe Rogan
Yeah,
pod, and now he says it. But like, I always thought like, I can do it, man. I can become Mr. Olympia. And then slowly I realized after 10 years of lifting, after all the eating disorders, like, maybe not though. Like, bro, in 1 year, if I get lucky, I'll put 2 pounds of muscle. If I get lucky, man. Like, that would be like my highest like stake. So I love it when someone is honest about it and they say like, yeah, I take gear, I'm on steroids. Because it helps me to don't have like these bad thoughts about like, oh, maybe I just don't train hard enough, I don't eat enough, all this kind of stuff.
I love this video. It's by Vice. Have you seen this? Juiced Up?
It's a series. Yeah, it's a series about it. I think this is the episode I think stuck with me the most. I don't remember who the fuck this guy's name is, but I think he takes like a fuckload of steroids. But he's like pretty adamant, like everyone in his gym, that they're all on steroids. And he's like, yeah, he's explaining the exact same thing. There's a huge misconception that you can take steroids, work out 2-3 times a week, and be fucking big. He's like,
it's about to come up too.
yeah.
It's like start skipping forward a little bit with the arrow keys.
It's a lifestyle.
Yeah.
A lot of people aren't ready for. Like, a lot of people come up to me in the gym and they're like, if I take this, this, and that, will I look like you? I tell them to stay away from it. I tell them not to start it.
Your first shot, your life is gonna change. It'll never be the same.
Well, you see, I like that, man.
Take a needle and all of a sudden you're gonna look like Mr. Perfect.
10 bags of Cheetos,
And
3 cc's.
it's not, it's a whole, like, comes back to the whole lifestyle.
How many guys don't look good that take steroids? You know?
That's also
You
true.
know, there's guys in here that are on steroids that you wouldn't even tell because they don't live the lifestyle. People think, you know, you're gonna come in here, you're gonna work out hard, you're gonna take a bunch of stuff, and you're gonna look like me, or him, and it's not like that.
Yeah.
Well, you see, that's also like a really good point, because I have competed in like not natural bodybuilding, just like bodybuilding shows, where like a lot of people were taking steroids. I beat them. I have beat a lot of people who thought.
No, I was
taking
about to
steroids.
say if you had like maybe a year more under your belt, all natural, you would probably be bigger than that dude right there. And just the guy's like, yeah, if you take steroids, you don't look like that. I was like, dog, I'm looking at you and I'm looking at this homie right here. And
Yeah, but you see, that's another thing though. I do have a lot of respect for people who decided to take that path, because it's expensive, it's dangerous, and requires way more commitment though. Like, let's be totally honest about it. Because when you go through a cycle, you're gonna have those peaks and those lows. As per me, as a natural, I usually stay on the same way. Like, I'm usually lifting the same way. I'm usually looking the same way. But with the peaks and everything that you're going to have, like the hormone changes and everything, you're taking to a level of commitment that I don't dare to cross. I honestly give props to you. But it's just that moment where you start lying, where you start saying that we are in the same level field, just to feel better about yourself. It feels like you're just flipping up on my face. Like, you're just like, fuck you, man. Like, I know I'm cheating, but I want to make you feel shitty about it because fuck off.
Yeah.
Like, oh wow, like what did I do to you, man? Like
no, yeah, it's fucked. I don't get it.
I don't get it either though, and I don't understand how people can feel proud about it. Like if I took first place, it's like me saying like I go to a high school and I'm like I'm actually 12. I beat the living crap out of a 12-year-old in wrestling.
Or it's like saying you're a chick when you're a dude and you get into wrestling.
Oh, bro.
And you beat the fuck out of somebody.
Or when you're a man that turns into a woman and then beats out a bunch of Olympic medalists in a swimming contest.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just saw
the
the swimming thing though.
Kind of sus.
Yeah, kind
You
of
see, I think I just wish we said like, hey, like there is this biological differences when you are like a male, like you have the testosterone, your bones are probably heavier because, yeah, then again, like it's like if you were on steroids. And like I was telling you like yesterday, why can't we can have like sports for trans athletes? Like why can't have like a trans athlete league? Why is that such a bad thing? Because then again, like, and they're like, oh, because there wouldn't be anyone. I'm like, I've been in the bodybuilding stage alone. Sometimes I wouldn't get a match on boxing. Like I will go there after putting all the work, get to my weight class. There's no one in that weight class. And I was like, what am I supposed to do? You don't fight. So it bothers me that like I have to go through it. But could you imagine if I went to like my boxing match and I was like 175 and they're like, well, we have a guy who's at 135. Let them fight. Poncho already got prepared himself. Let them fight. They wouldn't allow that, right?
Yeah.
So they prefer to tell me like, no, I'm sorry, man. Like this is just how it is. This is part of your sport, and you knew about it. So I wish that we could do the same because it does feel like a little bit unfair for me because I had that where I'm like this is my weight class. There was no one else. I didn't compete. We didn't do it. Like imagine it was just a 7-pound difference, and they won't let me fight the guys at 168. But then we have this case where someone grew up as a male, they transition to female, and we are like, yeah, no, let them compete. Who cares, right? When we just were talking about weight cuts and how people died because of them for 1 pound. 1 pound was enough for a person to kill themselves, and now we're allowing this kind of thing. I'm like, it seems like a double standard that shouldn't be going around, though. And again, nothing against trans people. Like, good for you if you came out and you want to keep practicing your sport. Absolutely, like hell yes, but like let's don't pretend that we are in an even playing field. Again,
no, yeah,
like,
and
it's not.
What I think is important to pull out of all this is this logical, streamlined point of view is coming from an athlete, someone that has done track and field, 10Ks, 12Ks, boxing, bodybuilding. Like you are a well-rounded athlete. And you're bringing forward a very logical and streamlined and no-nonsense point of view. But then when you hear people advocating for, well, we need to have transgenders compete with everybody else, it's coming from people who are not athletic, who do not compete in things.
Like I remember one time.
It's just this an uninitiated argument.
Dude, I remember one time I was watching this video where they were asking like women on like an university, like, oh, what do you think about like trans athlete coming and dominated certain sports on females? And one of the females goes and says, oh, I will tell the female athletes to work harder. And like that broke my heart because for me as an athlete, that's like if they told me like, oh, what do you think about people on steroids competing with you as a natural? And someone told me like, work harder. I would be like, fuck off, man. Do you have any idea how much I sacrifice for this? You think that those people who like are competing to Olympics don't sacrifice like everything? We were just talking about Rolly Coleman destroying his back. How many gymnastics do you think destroyed their back? How many boxers fuck off their brains? And now we do this to them just to protect these specific individuals. I'm like, that's not fair, man. Like, come on, let's just find a better way of doing it. I'm not saying like cancel it and fuck off all of this. No, I'm just saying like we can organize it on a much logical way though. And then again, I'm not against like if you are making like a race why not to have like the transgender category? Then again, though, like
This guy makes a point. Yeah, transgender category.
Yeah,
Or
yeah, you know.
If you want it, okay. Now you're gonna have your own category though.
No, I was literally gonna
If you
say
identify
like
as trans, there is now a trans category. You compete up against all the other trans people.
well, because I was having this conversation at dinner tonight with my chick and her family, and I was like, well, it's getting to the point where this conversation is so prevalent where we almost need it. And not only do we need a transgender category, there's enough people to where
it won't be an empty category though.
Well, the consumers have created their own market. Like you created the market for this, and guess what? If they complain, if let's say it's not, I don't think it's an if, it's a when they create like an athlete, like a
You're
category,
segregating us into separate.
yeah, exactly. Like when they start complaining about it, you can say, "Well, you fucking created it. What else do you want?"
But bro, I don't get it because that's what sports is all about. Usually in men's physique, they have the tall, the medium, the short, the 70 kilos, the 77 kilos, the 84 kilos. Sports try to be as fair as they can. Again, in boxing, are you 15 to 17? Are you 168? Are you 175? Why are we doing the same with the trans people? It's not a bad thing though. It's part of sports. We want to even the playing field. Why is that such a big deal? And yeah, sometimes it sucks. Sometimes you don't get to compete against the people. Sometimes you are the only one on stage. That's part of sports, man. That's part, like literally in the UFC. Sometimes like one day before they're like, I couldn't make weight. They cancel the fight. What are you gonna tell the other guy? Oh, fight the guy at 110. Fight the female athlete. Fuck no, man. It's
That's the
it's
next
part
fight.
of your sport.
Dana White, Francis Ngannou versus Rose Namajunas. I would like to see that fight, please.
Oh, that was the big thing with the Mayweather and McGregor fight, was that McGregor was overweight and Mayweather was like, no, fuck, I don't give a shit, let him.
Oh no, yeah.
And that's
How-
it was his choice though.
How much was the weight difference?
I think he was over by like 3 to 5 pounds. I think.
Yeah, but for example, when he was fighting Canelo was like, I can't make 152. And he's like, I'll let you do it to 154. And Canelo had to go down to 154. He usually fights at 156. So he said like it was a pain in the ass to cut those 2 pounds. Yeah. And we find like these sweet spots though. And that's why I feel like, do people don't realize that that's like a thing though? Or like...
Well, because most, especially today, most people do not compete in anything. But like once you leave high school, for most people, you don't really like,
dude. But that's
get active in something. So when they see controversy around sports, most people don't have a leg to stand on in that argument.
But you see, funny you bring that point out though, because like for example, one of the things that I always hate, like I am a big fan of like the UFC, boxing, and all that kind of stuff. And right now, like the pound for pound best boxer is Canelo Alvarez, who's like a Mexican fighter. But if you look at the comments of the other Mexicans, bro, they talk so much shit about him and they ask for like the most ridiculous things. Why doesn't he fight Anthony Joshua? Well, because Anthony Joshua is like 6'8" and like 250 pounds. Like, how the fuck is he gonna fight Anthony Joshua, man? And they're like, so I feel like we live in an era where like people are talking out of their asses, man. No, like for real. I'm like, have any of you stand up like in the boxing ring? Because Anthony Joshua, look at that fucking beast, man.
That dude against Canelo.
Yeah, bro. It doesn't matter how good in boxing you are.
Him, dude. He's fucking huge.
No,
that's not gonna happen.
I don't care how good you are in boxing.
How tall is he again?
I think like 6'6".
Jesus, what's his reach?
Oh, bro, he's a ginormous.
Because Canelo's what, 5'9"?
Yeah,
right.
5'7", I think.
5'7",
5'9". Yeah, look at that. 6'6".
He's 6'6".
God,
how could Canelo even fight?
So why the fuck isn't Dana White hitting this dude up to get in the UFC? Put him against Francis Ngannou.
Oh, because he's making 10 times the money.
Oh, that's fair.
Yeah, bro.
That's
he's
fair.
like, bro, like that guy could buy the UFC. That guy will pay like Francis Ngannou to like be his sparring partner, and Francis will get more money out of it. So you see, like
80 million.
Just punch people in the fucking face, dude.
Bro, but honestly, like that's little.
I know. Oh, for
boxing, I know.
Conor made 100 fighting Mayweather.
Yeah,
like
that's his net worth now. He at one point, his peak, he was earning 50 to 60 million per year.
Oh my god.
Or more.
Nah, bro, boxing is making it's like the one of the best like
money making
sport.
fights for sure.
Yeah.
Oh, for sure.
Bets.
UFC is just for social media clout at this point.
Yeah.
No, yeah.
But I honestly think that like the way that things are going, the UFC is gonna take over if they decide to pay their fighters better.
Yeah.
That's a big if, because now that John Jones and like Francis Ngannou are saying like I might quit. Oh, bro, like that will sink the UFC.
So last thing I kind of want to pick your brain about before we end this.
Yeah.
Do you ever think you would ever cross that bridge and get and start doing like enhanced bodybuilding, get into steroids, PEDs at all? I mean, I imagine you've considered it. How do you not?
Bro, anyone who's in the gym for 2 months already thought about taking steroids 10 times. Like, come on, don't lie to me. I actually thought about it for like a long time. Like, I wanted to do it, like, because yeah, I just think like, could you mind if I could bench 405 4 reps? Could you mind if I go in a fight with a guy and I could pick him up with one arm? Like, bro, sign me in, right?
Oh, so you want to become like Mexican Batman? Okay, cool.
Wouldn't it be great? Wouldn't it be fucking great? Yeah, it would be amazing. Well, one of the reasons why I decided I cannot take that route is because I compete in a lot of sports where I wouldn't feel comfortable doing. Like one of the goals that I have, for example, is gain my a black belt in jiu-jitsu. I would love to compete in jiu-jitsu. I still want to have a professional boxing match because I already was state champion like twice. So I'm like, oh, let's get that pro card. Like I want to say that I'm a pro bodybuilder. I want a pro boxer. I want to have an MMA fight too eventually because I'm also a black belt in Taekwondo. So like if you combine all of those, like I can like, I wouldn't be fair. It wouldn't be fair if I were to take steroids, and I wouldn't want to be that guy who cheated his way through it because I'm pretty sure that I could beat it. Like when you start boxing, when you start MMA, and it's like your first year, nobody's drug testing you. No one gives a fuck. They don't have the money to drug test you. But I wouldn't feel comfortable doing all these sports because if I were to take steroids, the only sport I think that I would feel comfortable doing is bodybuilding. Obviously not with the natural associations. I will probably jump into NPC or one of those like big ones. That's the only sport I will feel comfortable competing because I'm like, this is an even field. But if I were to run my marathon, I went to do my triathlon, I wouldn't feel comfortable with myself because even though they don't say that they care if you take steroids, I know that I have an advantage over these people. So I wouldn't want to do that. I love sports. I love competing. It's my life, man. I fucking like, it gets me so satisfied to get like my little medal and have my Oreos afterwards. I'm just like thinking like, what a great experience that was. And bodybuilding is one of those sports that I really like. But thank God now I can compete as a natural. And sometimes it does come back and kick me on the ass when I see like a guy who like we just saw has better legs than Arnold Schwarzenegger. And I'm just like, well, shit. But that's part of the sport that I love, though, and there is no way I can fix it, and I'm not gonna be crying about it and be like, oh, like if they didn't take steroids, I would have won. It's part of the sport. You fall in love with the good, you fall in love with the bad. Boxing has bad decisions, has good decisions. Judges rob you. That happened to you today, where like the judges actually like fucked up big time. But that's part of the sport, man, and you gotta fall in love with that. That human error is part of it. No sport is perfect. If you tell me that there is a perfect sport, pretty sure that like you're lying to me, man. If it's not a contest of eating Oreo cookies, it's not a perfect sport.
Well, listen, man. I'm very happy we got to do this.
I'm so happy. I appreciate it, man.
Blows my fucking socks off that you're able to come down and do it. Thank you for coaching me. Thank you for doing all of this over the last few days and the last like year almost. And I've loved this fucking conversation, man. You're honorable as fuck with your stances on steroids and like how you're gonna approach your competing. And I mean, so much, I wish you all the best, but you don't fucking need it because you're a great athlete.
Thank you so much, man.
And I can't wait to see where you go, and I can't wait to do this again sometime. As always, Joey, thank you again for
appreciate it, my brother.
Anytime.
You're a great friend, man. Thank you for everything. David, thank you for being here as well. I appreciate it. I always love having an audience. And we'll see you guys next time. Bye, everybody. Oh, wait. Did you get a thumbnail? Let's get a thumbnail.
No, I didn't.
So for those of you that wonder how we get the amazing thumbnails for the podcast, so I have my good friend Joey here take a picture from his point of view because I'm not rich enough to have a third camera.
Oh, brother, my apologies.
Oh, but one day we will be rich enough for a
One
third
day,
camera.
man.
And
Oh, bro. Dude. Okay.
What's happening? Did it
but-
work? Did it not work?
he's doing his magic. But no, seriously, man, I really appreciate everything over the last year. You really helped me out a lot, like my fitness.
It was
and
a fucking pleasure, man.
with my just like because I've always wanted to believe that I've had the work ethic to do something like this.
You clearly do,
But
though.
like to know that I do have that, and to know that like I can really hunker down and get something done while doing a full-time job, while having doing the podcast.
A girlfriend, which
with
usually
my
makes it
girlfriend.
hard, or like
And
what you manage.
Yeah, it's tough, but like you help me see a side of myself that I haven't seen in fucking years, and I really appreciate that, man. Yeah, I'm blessed to call you a friend. I'm blessed to call you one of my brothers, man. And
it is my pleasure.
fuck, this was a lot of fun, and I can't wait to do this again once you got like 1,000 more trophies. So
Let's hope.
All
I'll
right, bro.
do my best.
Thank you very much.
Fucking love you, brother.
Thank you everyone for listening, and we'll catch you next time.
Have
Bye,
a beautiful
everybody.
day.